I watch what you put out on X. You've got 32 million followers, so you're one of the most followed people.
See, wait. Now look right now. You're not gonna take inches off my dick, bro. Like, how many followers do I have?
Well, how many is it?
I think you could do the study. You got a whole staff over there.
I thought it was 32 million. How many is it? You obviously know.
I mean, no. I mean, don't help them out. You know they.
I'm told it's 33 million now. So congratulations. You're slightly bigger following than I thought.
No, congratulations. Your information is correct. You're not just some, dude trying to sub. I'm a gift, bro. You know what I mean? Why do all you people in media act like you haven't played my songs at your weddings or graduations or at funerals or when your child was born? You take somebody that's living like a Lennon, a Michael Jackson, and you just take all this time to just like that nuance right there. It's idiotic. It just shows the hate that you put out for people that put love. There's so much love in the art that I put out.
What are you talking about? I haven't said anything.
What are you talking about? It's dirty. Okay, now you're not taking accountability or responsibility.
Literally, you said it. You implied I haven't played your music. Of course I played your music.
No, sir. This is what you get for now. We can circle back when you can count.
Okay.
It's the Homeless Left with Matt Weinglass and co-host Craig Pasta Jardula. Episode 103, No Justice, No Peace, with special guest managing editor of the Grayzone, WYATT REED, and an all-new top censored news of the week. And here's your host, Matt Weinglass.
All right, here we go. Welcome, guys. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of The Homeless Left. It is Thursday. This is our big show today. We're excited about we're going to be bringing in our co-host in just a moment, Craig Pasta Jardula, back on the scene with us. Lots to get into today, guys. We're calling today's episode "No Justice, No Peace." There's a lot of references there to you guys know we've been covering the protests and the shutting down of free speech. And it seems like we're just on the edge waiting for something to happen, but nothing is happening. In fact, we're taking steps back. It's like one step forward, 5 steps back. That's how it's been at least these last 100 days or so, and probably before that as well. So this is the path we're on. No justice, no peace. That opening was a little bit of KANYE walking off the set. We'll get into more of that later, but that's there's a lot going on there. I don't know. This, you guys might think it's a nothing burger, but we from Hollywood, we are always looking at from the lens of entertainment versus what is really going on behind the outer layer, the presentation, that fake thing that's going out there, what's really going on inside. So that's the lens we see the world in. And so that's so these things pop up, and we'll get into that later. But lots going on today. We do have some breaking news coming out of the Vatican. We'll get to that as well. I just wanted to let everybody know, just if you're here for the first time, or if you're a regular viewer of our channel, The Homeless Left, the reason we do this show is this is for anybody that is feeling uneasy about the state of politics, the economy, our society in these last few years, or if you've had enough of everybody telling you to shut your mouth, get in line, be part of the tribe, don't let the bad guys get a point, keep your mouth shut, don't ask questions. If you're sick and tired of being told to shut up because you're helping the other team, your party that you believed in for so long has let you down, you're getting this kind of pushback just for getting interested and curious about what's really going on. You don't want to play that game anymore of tribal politics, or just tribalism in general, identity politics, whatever you want to call it, red team versus blue team. You're sick and tired of the hate and division being sold to us by the mainstream media, who don't act as journalists anymore. They are propagandists 100%. That's why we do the show. You're sick and tired of that. being told to punch down at each other, at your friends, family, colleagues, at your neighbors. You're ready to start punching up with us at the people in the power. They don't want us to do it, but we're going to be doing it. And we welcome you to the Homeless Left. This is the place for you because that's what we do here. And we're on here twice a week on Rumble. We're on YouTube. We're on as many platforms as we can get on, but Rumble's our home base, guys. So welcome, welcome, welcome. The Homeless Left is my story. What is yours? Are you homeless from the right? Are you homeless from the middle, from the up, from the down, from the upside down? It doesn't matter. We're all homeless together. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring in our co-host for today. You know him, you love him. Craig Pasta Jardula. Here he is. Got to get the mute off. There we go.
Who loves me? That's awesome. If I got love, I'm down for it. Maybe I should shut these lights off. Let me shut these lights off real quick. 1 second.
Yeah. Oh, we love you. All right, Pasta. We already got people chiming in here. Oh, look at this. Look who loves you.
How's that? Is that better? Ah,
yeah,
there,
man. Look who loves you. We got a shout out.
Well, that's my homeboy over there. That's
there
why.
You go.
That's a guy I'm going to be working with in the future. I'll tell you that much.
Oh, hell yeah.
Citizen journalist over there, dude. That's Applejack. You don't know about him.
Applejack. Nice.
If you don't know about Applejack, you know. You'll know.
Hell yeah. Uh-oh. Little frozen. Are you there? Or am I the one that's frozen?
Is that me or you that froze up?
God, you know, it's hard to tell. I think we're both in now, so we'll just consider it a little.
Let's do it. Let's do it. But hey, man, great show today. Got a lot of stuff to talk about. Looking forward to it. Can't wait to see my homeboy in about 45 minutes. So yeah, let's get into it. A lot of good stuff today to talk about, you know.
Let's do it. Okay. So before we get into top censored news, we're just gonna cover this breaking news, which just happened in the last hour or so. I'll throw this up here. Actually, you know what? I like to do the little intro. Let's throw this on. This is a fun one. It's breaking news. It qualifies. It qualifies. Here we go. Breaking news. If you guys haven't heard, the Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost has been chosen as the new Pope. There was a lot of speculation on who it was going to be, but we just got word on this. Let's play a clip here. This is off the live feed. Everybody gathering at the Vatican, just hundreds of thousands of people tuning in. It was a big buildup, but let's see. This is the first words out of the new Pope's mouth, and it seems to be very positive. Let's see. Let's check it out.
Tutto il mondo,
all of you,
vogliamo essere una chiesa sinodale, una chiesa che cammina, una chiesa che cerca sempre la pace, cerca sempre la carità, cerca sempre di essere vicino, specialmente a coloro che soffrono.
And especially is charitable to those who are suffering.
Oggi,
today,
il giorno della supplica alla Madonna di Pompei.
Today is the day of praying to the
Nostra
Madonna
Madre
Pompei.
Maria vuole sempre camminare con noi, stare
Our
vicino,
Blessed Mother Mary always
aiutarci
wants to
con
be
la sua
close to us.
intercessione, il suo amore.
She always
Allora
wants to
vorrei pregare
intercede for us
insieme a voi.
through her love.
Preghiamo insieme
So
per questa nuova missione,
let us pray together
però
for
per
this new
tutta la
mission,
Chiesa,
for
per la
all of the
pace
church,
nel mondo.
for peace in the
Chiediamo
world,
questa grazia speciale
that she will
di
help
Maria,
us
nostra
give us a
madre.
special grace, our mother.
Ave Maria, piena di grazia,
Hail Mary,
il
full of
Signore è
grace,
con
the
te.
Lord is with you.
Tu sei benedetta fra le
You are
donne,
blessed among
e
women,
benedetto è il frutto del
and
tuo
blessed is
seno,
the fruit
Gesù.
of your womb, Jesus.
Santa Maria,
Holy
Madre
Mary,
di Dio,
Mother of God,
prega per noi
pray
peccatori,
for us sinners,
adesso e nell'ora
now
della
and at the
nostra
end hour of our
morte.
death.
Amen.
Amen.
Pope Leo XIV there.
Pope Leo XIV, very interesting. A few themes coming out already there from his first piece, talking about peace.
Indeed, saying a greeting of peace. May my greeting of peace enter into your hearts and reach your families. All people, wherever you are, all peoples of the entire planet. May peace be with you. God's peace be with you, he said.
May peace be with you. Seems pretty positive up front. There's people a little we're wondering about this guy's history. Seems like he's got a good humanitarian background. Did some work in Peru from what I'm seeing, Craig. The one thing though that sticks out right now though is that we don't have an exact, and this is, and we can talk about the previous Pope as well, of Francis, that there is sometimes, even though it seems on the outside they're doing the right stuff, the humanitarian work, we're not seeing an actual bold stance. So we don't know yet, as far as this new Pope is concerned, that if he actually has a stance publicly on the genocide in Gaza. We don't know his public stance on the Ukraine proxy war. So these are things that we don't know yet. And to not say something out loud, one could argue, means that you're not actually on the side of the people, because you got in a position like that with that much ability to inspire and affect so much of the planet, more than really anybody else you can really think of that can have that much influence on the global population. You would hope that there would be some sort of public stance on these issues of endless war, occupation, genocide, putting money in the warmongers contract on, at the expense of people around the world. You'd hope for something. And if you don't get something, you got to be suspicious of why you're not getting it publicly said. What are your thoughts so far on this breaking news, Craig?
Well, I would say this much, that, I think that language is important. You just kind of mentioned it. You can share my screensaver right over there. What the Pope had once said. And this is like when Bernie Sanders goes around saying that, Israel has a right to defend itself. To defend itself is one thing. It doesn't have a right to kill women and children with our U.S. bombs. That's absurd that they would constantly say that. At the end of November last year, go ahead and share that if you don't mind. Breaking, Pope Francis calls for an investigation into Israel's attacks in Gaza. An investigation at the end of November of last year, 2024. He stated that some experts say what is happening in Gaza has the characteristics of a genocide, adding that an investigation is needed. I mean, that's just absurd. It's both sides in the situation. And they need to have a firm stance on that, especially the Pope. When it comes to what Israel has been doing, and once again, Israel played it off as if they were snubbing the Pope. They were the only country to not go to his, one of the only countries, I think, that was invited to not go to his funeral. So it's very interesting. We're going to see what this Pope's all about. They can talk the talk, but actions speak louder than words. The Pope shouldn't have been calling for an investigation. He should have been condemning what Israel was doing. So it's going to be interesting to see what this Pope is. I don't know if this is the actual guy that Shmuley wanted, right? I think Shmuley. No,
we're going to look at that right now. There was a lot of buzz. I'm going to put this one up. This was the one that we were looking at this closely. So Rabbi Shmuley seemed to have a lot of, at least he felt he had a lot of influence on the Catholic Church, enough so that he actually got in a plane, flew to the Vatican right before the Pope died, and he was doing like a live Instagram. I don't know what platform he was on, but he was saying from the plane, hey, this is my plan. I'm going to go sit with him on his deathbed and convince him to say out loud that the Jews are the chosen people by God. He literally said that to all his people. So this is the kind of, it's a smugness that Shmuley has, that he has so much power and influence. Apparently, he doesn't have that influence, Craig, because this is the guy he was propping up. This is Parolin, the Cardinal Parolin, which was looking like he was going to be presented by the mainstream media as the moderate guy that could bring everyone together, when we know, we did an investigation on this guy. This guy's a 100% Zionist. He'd be a 100% guy that would do the bidding of Israel in the Vatican. And so when we thought that he thought he was going to get this done, apparently it turns out that by Shmuley pushing this guy, that actually took him out of the running. And then we had the announcement this morning. But even still,
let me just say this much really quickly. I don't mean to cut you off. Just because Shmuley's guy did not get in doesn't mean that this Pope doesn't have enough pro-Zionist positions where it's going to not be a positive Pope for those who are pushing for absolute peace. It was, like I said, that last tweet that I showed, what the Pope said at the end of November, it's just astonishing. We need people like the Pope, who's all supposed to be about for the poor and for peace, condemning what Israel has been doing. You know what I'm saying? It just, that's not it shouldn't come down to a decision. Do I stick up for Israel being the chosen ones or not? It still doesn't allow you to take the position where they're killing women and children for you to say that we need an investigation. And to say it has all the characteristics of a genocide means you're not saying You're not calling it out for what it is. And unfortunately, that Pope fell short in my mind, even though he did have some, like I said, he kind of both sides of the situation, and that he's being political rather than being about the poor, which is what the Catholic Church, head of the Catholic Church, is all supposed to be about,
Okay, well, let's see what he did accomplish at the end. I think we do agree on this, that he did go all in on Gaza. He was calling the Christian church there the every single day. Apparently, there's a discrepancy on when he started making the phone calls, but he was on the phone with them in Gaza, and he said out loud that Israel is committing acts of terror. He said that, like, that's
towards the end. But once again, that statement, come on, man, would you have to be on your deathbed to make those statements? At the end of November, he was saying it has the characteristics of a genocide. That's a big fail.
Right.
I'm sorry, there's nothing he can do for me at that point to forgive what he did right there. That was awful. That's just my personal opinion.
What he did do,
coming from a Catholic,
right?
No.
Okay, well, what he did do was enough to piss off Israel, enough for when Israel put this tweet up, it deletes it immediately, because apparently the showing this support for the Pope's death only applies if he's not making these daily phone calls with the Christians in Palestine. So that's what's
called narrative management.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're just trying to manage the narrative at that point in time. But the Pope did not do enough during the whole year and change, of 14 months of those attacks at the end of November to say it has the characteristics of a genocide. Sorry, just a little bit too late.
Okay.
That's my personal opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and if that's the bar we're setting, that's a low bar, especially from that particular Pope, where we expect to have some real statements condemning what's going on and calling for an immediate ceasefire.
Let me give you a lower bar. Fee and I were talking about this issue of Gaza comparatively to COVID, and the fact that the Catholic Church went all in on mandates, told everybody on the planet they needed to do 3 of these things. It really effed up people with their attempt to have a religious exemption. You couldn't do that unless you had to maneuver it really carefully, because his words went a long way. And then all of a sudden, the Catholic Church decided to be quiet about it after the 3rd jab. CDC's pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, and they're quiet. So let me ask you, Craig, on his deathbed, if he had said, I regret the mandate for the church, it was wrong. I regret, telling people to do this, it was wrong. What if he even went further and said, I suspect doing this might have hurt people? So would you consider that worth something versus him saying nothing? Because he didn't say a damn word about that on his deathbed. So I'm just trying to give you a comparative to see, isn't something better than nothing, is my question.
I really, to tell you the truth, that's kind of a what if straw man argument. Even if he did say those things, the connections to the World Economic Forum, the conversations with Klaus Schwab, it won't forgive. Once you go past a certain, excuse my French, shit line, right? You don't cross my shit line, Ricky, I don't cross yours. Mr. Leahy, once you cross that shit line, it's too late. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, this Pope, on many issues, when it came to COVID, crossed that shit line. So I really can't take stock in that. What if he said this? At least we got something from it. I'm so sorry. I know you're trying to point out a positive point there, but it's just not, it's not landing with me. Unfortunately, the Pope said that this has the characteristics of a genocide. That was it. Enough is enough. I think we've learned from all these different types of political figures out there. RFK comes to one. Once they say a certain thing that is like shows that they've been compromised and they'll never ever really push for peace or for health or whatnot, they'll always do the bidding because they're compromised from somebody else. We have to throw them away.
Okay. Well,
that's just my personal opinion. Sorry.
I'm making the distinction. I agree with you that it's not nearly as effective as doing it when you need to do it, which is at the beginning, at the time when it's most important.
Yeah.
But it is I'm going to say it is something.
Now, what about all these people who are talking about stuff that Israel's doing now today when we've been saying this for God knows how long? The whole Donald Trump thing. Oh my God. Yeah. And then, somebody said the other day on a show, someone we know, Donald Trump's owned by Israel. Yeah, but why were you out in an event to go get him elected, playing the lesser of two evils, knowing that he was a Zionist, a crazy Zionist, taking that money? He's already shown that. And we should be rejecting Zionism across the board, even if that Zionist seems better on certain issues than the other Zionist. Zionism should be rejected, because at the end of the day, if you're taking Zionist money, you're compromised across the board. You're compromised when it comes to health. You're definitely compromised when it comes to foreign policy. You're just overall compromised. You can never be trusted to do the right thing because you're owned. So they'll only give, and that's what the system's designed to do, to give you those little nuggets of, well, at least we got that, Matt.
Okay.
Because then it gets you emotionally invested, and then you go all in. I mean, to this day, we still have people supporting and standing up for RFK when RFK at the HHS secretary, and people are saying, yeah, I'm promoting him to be the HHS secretary. I'm not promoting him to be the Secretary of State. Well, this guy just came forth despite turning his back on the medical freedom movement and pushing MMR vaccines, right? That's another thing. But this guy from the HHS department said that anti-Semitism is one of the greatest health risks to Americans out there. Yeah. I mean, come on.
Okay, so I
throw out the Bobby with the bathwater.
I'm on board with you on the RFK thing. It's total BS to play catch up and give us little nuggets. Total BS.
No, that's what the system's designed to do. I want you to acknowledge that.
It's designed to give us little nuggets at the time when it's appropriate to do so.
Get us emotionally invested, right?
However, with the Catholic Church on record, the Pope on record saying that Israel is committing acts of terror. That is on record. That's there. It's a bigger voice.
It's also on record that he says it has the characteristics of a genocide.
Okay. Which was previous. Okay.
Are you coming on my side of the fence, or am I coming on yours? Or are you just going to sit up there all day?
This new Pope is going to have to account for those words and tell us where he stands on these things. He's going to have to. And it's too bad the Pope didn't say, I regret the mandates of the COVID vaccine. It's not a straw man argument to say that would at least put it on the table, even if it's just throwing us little nuggets. This new Pope, and this is the point, we're going to have to watch and see what is this guy Prevost going to say about any of these things, if at all. What is your guess? If you had a wager, if you were a betting man, Craig, is he going to say anything about any of this?
My guess would be he's just going to be just as political and fence-sitting as the last Pope, right? He's going to be the same way. It's been politicized, and all the cardinals have been politicized, and the Catholic Church has been politicized, and they got to protect their pedophiles that they move around. So they protect each other. They got to protect Israel's pedophiles that moved around. There's probably a couple of pedophiles that the Catholic Church threw out, and they're hanging out in Israel right now with protection, for crying out loud. You know, that's what, like I said, that's what the system is designed to do, give you a little emotional nuggets of hope. And it's like the tweet I made. This becomes more dangerous than if, in fact, you went 100% and just play team sports for that person. Because once you justify that person, you are actually promoting the status quo. We need to get away from the status quo. It needs to be rejected completely.
All right, fair enough. We're moving on. We'll keep an eye on this one, but we're moving on. We got to get some top censor news.
I heard he's going to bless deep dish pizza across the board, being from Chicago. Kit Cabello was happy with the Pope's choice. The choice
right
of the Pope.
Chicago.
Out of Chicago, baby.
Deep dish pizza, baby.
Beef sandwiches, beef dips, and Vienna hot dogs.
Oh yeah.
And they only use yellow mustard in Chicago. They don't use the brown mustard as New Yorkers use.
No. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that one. Okay, guys. I think
they do go good with the whole pickles and the little pepperoncinis on that shit and that sesame bun, like black sesame seed. They got a thing going on, but they're not natural casing dogs in Chicago, and that's what makes them second. And the hot dog from New York much superior. Same thing with pizza. It's like Chicago's a good runner-up. What the Cubs are mostly. Every once in a while they'll get a win, once every 100 years, but that's it for the most part. Great runner-up.
Kit will love hearing you say that. For sure.
Mets are playing the Cubs tomorrow, so we'll see.
All right.
How about those Knicks, baby?
Oh man, I haven't even said anything. You know what? On behalf of Laker fans around Southern California, good one. We love it. Take those bastards out. Seriously.
I still think that the Celtics are going to win the series in 7.
They're not going to do it in 6 at this point, but yeah, they might win in 7. They might win it in 7. Okay.
If the Knicks can steal one of these next 2 games, I think Game 3 you're going to see the Celtics win, but Game 4 the Knicks, if they can steal that game and go back 3-1, put the pressure on. They got to get one of the next 2. That's it. That's the only way they win the series.
If they go 3-1, if they go 2-2, it's over. Yeah,
they're very capable, by the way. So I don't want to say that it's
Yeah, let's get on. Let's get on this shit. We can talk basketball later. I want to get this before we have our friend Wyatt come in here. So let's do a little top censor. You ready for some top censor news?
Are you going to play a video? Because I need.
I don't have a video.
Right. I need to run to the bathroom real quick. I hate to do. Sorry, I didn't do my bathroom break. You talk and I'll listen to you. I'll put you loud enough to listen. I'll be right back.
Okay. Why don't you go for it? Okay. All right, guys. We are set up. We're going to do a little top censor news for you. We usually do have a video. This time we're going to do more of a convo as we count them down. Top 3 stories the mainstream media refuses to cover. That's the thing. So I'm set up here. You know what? We'll just start it. Craig will come back when he's ready. Okay, here we go. Uncanceled Comedy Collective presents Top Censored News of the Week. It's time for Top Censored News of the Week. We're bringing you the stories the mainstream media refuses to cover. If they do cover them, they always do it in a very dishonest or sloppy way. And it's always on purpose. Okay, coming in at number 3, the Victory Day Parade is this week in Moscow, and the West pretends not to notice. So we'll start with this. Russia yesterday releases a video showing all the foreign leaders, and you guessed it, no NATO leaders showing up to this thing, but all the other foreign leaders that's around the globe arriving in Moscow for Putin's Victory Day Parade. Let's check out the video. Here we go.
В нашей стране эта война называется Великой Отечественной, потому что весь народ, без всякого преувеличения, принял участие в отражении нацистской агрессии.
Looks pretty exciting. Now, how does the West responding to this? Well, first, let's if you guys want to know some of the people that are in attendance right now, and the parade itself is happening tomorrow. This is some of the people attending, or basically all the people are supposed to attend. And you can see everybody on this list. These are all people that the West has, at one point or another, a time deemed a dictator, a threat to democracy, whatever it is. Somebody we've had to either assassinate attempt or do a coup on or whatever. These are all people that are part of, I guess you would say, gathering for the BRICS, the bringing people together, bringing countries together to go against the West, the Western regime, the Western oligarchy, and that they're using a day like Victory Day to do that. This is the thing about this, Craig, is that when we see a list of people like this, we want to know what will somebody like Trump say about this? What is the mainstream saying about this? And unfortunately, what's going on is Trump himself is spinning this as not a big deal, and that we need to take the opportunity to make Victory Day about us. So he's trying to one up this. This is a clip of Trump today telling us what Victory Day should be for celebration of, guess what? You guessed it, America's the biggest, most powerful country that should be celebrating this over anybody else on the planet, the victory of World War II. Let's hear his take on it this morning. Here we go.
Pleased to announce that I've just signed a proclamation officially designating tomorrow, May 8th, as a Victory Day for World War II, commemorating the 80th anniversary of America's victory in the Second World War. All over the globe, our World War II allies are celebrating this week. but the United States has never joined in with the proper celebration of our own. And the victory was mostly accomplished because of us. Whether you like it or not, we came into that war and we won that war, and we had a lot of help from a lot of great people, a lot of great allies. But I think there would be nobody that would say that we were not the dominant force in that war, and we don't celebrate it. And I think that's a great disservice to the people that lost their lives and people that fought so hard in winning World War II, and also a separate Victory Day for World War I, and we're going to be doing that too. It was American tanks and ships and trucks and airplanes and service members that vanquished the enemy 80 years ago this week. Without America, the liberation would never have happened. And so we have to pay tribute and homage to those people that gave us victory.
That's funny. It seems there were some big ones he might have left out of there, Craig. I'm confused. Or did he get everyone? Did he cover it all? Is it America? These are the people we need to pay homage to for World War II?
Yeah, well, I mean, when I hear that video, there's two things I think. Number one, he's keeping the scam alive, right? That's what Donald Trump is there to do, to keep the empire education, the history that's taught to American children going, the lie that we are a Captain America going around and, reuniting allies and fighting for and against, fighting against human rights abuses. But when you think about it and you hear the story, I think, the United States entering in is more to get a piece of the pie in Europe. That's why they waited so long. 300,000 men for the United States were sacrificed to help win that war. But the Russians alone lost like 1.2 million soldiers in Stalingrad, for crying out loud. I mean, maybe anywhere from 20 to 40 million people, the sacrifices that the Russians made. And they marched all the way from the east going west into Germany, to get in there to liberate a lot of the German-held territories at one point. I think that, to be a humble leader, you would say, I don't think America's part should have been ignored for what's happening. What happened during that war. He should be there in Russia, celebrating with them, uniting our country, saying we respect the losses of lives the Soviet Union did have. But once again, that was about the communists beating the fascists. So to keep the story alive, the scam alive, you can't ever support or say that communism has done anything good, even if it was, sacrificing millions of men to fight off fascism at one point. So it's just really a shame what could have been, what should have been. But people should see it for what it is. And this is what I mean. Donald Trump is keeping the status quo alive. He's not an outsider president that wants to expose what the corporatists have done to this country and what the Israeli lobbyists have done to this country. For crying out loud, they haven't bought off. But he's not an outsider president. He's more of just the same. In fact, he's more effective of keeping those who are, this form of like myopic nationalism, right? When people say, why don't you like the whole make America great again? Because to me, it says that we're not going to take any accountability for our bad actions. That's what I want. I don't know if necessarily it's great to say that we dropped bombs on innocent civilians in Japan, 2 bombs. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's not something I want to be proud of. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a humble approach. It's not what the American approach is. The American approach to me is like, if you're going to make a parallel to football, Jerry Rice, every time he scored a touchdown, you ever see that guy celebrate? He would just turn around and hand the ball back to the referee. Be humble about things. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to pat yourself on the back. If you have to pat yourself on the back, America, the way Donald Trump pats America's self on the back, then you're really not a humble person. It's when the other people say how humble you are. And there's no humbleness when it comes to Donald Trump whatsoever. He just is more about keeping the scam alive. And it shows it right there. The fact that they're not there, the fact that the Brits aren't there, the fact that the French aren't there, the fact that the Americans aren't there. I mean, it's just, this is not good for anybody who says that Donald Trump is a puppet of Putin. No, he doesn't show it right there.
No, not at all.
And how I'm so sorry, just the last comment, as if he's feeding the ego of some insecure Americans, we got to say that it was us that won the war, because that's the lie we have to continue to tell, Matt. That's some shallow ass shit, by the way.
Yeah, and there's nobody here's using critical thinking skills as far as why is he not there? Why wouldn't somebody with an ego that big show up and say, "Hey, let's all celebrate and praise each other, because he would get praise if he actually did show up and said, listen, let's this is a new time. Let's all come together and say we all actively have something to be proud of here. You think he'd be disinvited to that? And by the way, the fact that half the country still thinks he's a Putin asset is insane, because why would you not be there if you were working on behest of Putin? It's insane to me. And you got people like Sean Penn running around here. We covered on the last show saying the most important thing is we get the message out to people that Putin is that Trump is Putin's puppet, and we have to show this film and really let people know this. And it's like, are you ignoring this? The Victory Day right now? Are you ignoring the thing that we're not participating in? Craig, it's worse. It's worse than that. Look at this. This is what CNN did cover. This is just like another amplification of how effed up this is. Drone threat looms over Moscow and Russia, which marks the annual Victory Day. So they're saying that right now they're gathering everyone there, and they have to be afraid of an actual potential lethal Ukrainian drone attack that we're funding. Isn't that insane? That instead of going, we're going to send drones from Ukraine that we're paying for? Does that make any sense at all?
I think it was hours before the truce is supposed to start. There's supposed to be a 3-day truce while this is taking place, right? May 8th, 9th, and 10th, whatever the truce is.
Right
I think the truce might have started on the 7th and going through the 10th, whatever the case may be. But Russia had said if they break the truce whatsoever, they'll get met with deadly force. And right before the truce was supposed to happen, I think Fiorella put up a tweet about it. There was a big drone attack, you know what I'm saying? And that's what they wanted to get them on edge for. It is crazy, because you'd think that with all of us trying to end this, if Donald Trump was trying to end this, how he would have had Zelensky cut down. And remember, they made a minerals deal, and then Trump turned around and let Ukraine buy weapons, purchase them, instead of us just giving it to them. So instead of Joe tax dollar, but once again, that shows it's not about peace, more about finances, and not playing the sucker. But he's really not the peace president. And these actions and everything that's happening on this, I mean, I can't see us reaching a peace deal soon. So what I see is that eventually that the Russian Federation and the Russian Federation and Putin are going to have no choice but to take the whole country. To me, some of the voices I've heard out there, some of the smart voices who think that Donald Trump is aligning himself more with Russia to try to get Zelensky to stop. I don't see that. I just saw him pushing Zelensky to get what he wants. The minerals, and I don't even think we're going to be able to drill those minerals out there. We don't have the resources to get that done. We're not equipped like that. Who is equipped to get those resources and drill them out? The Chinese. So it's just about stopping them from getting it if Russia had taken the whole country. So maybe now Russia does take the whole country, but allows the United States to occupy that territory or something. I don't know what deal is being made, but this doesn't bode well, I don't think, for a peace deal between Russia and the United States.
No, but it looks good on paper. It looks like we got something for a bang for our buck, and now we can justify more money for weapons.
Exactly.
Now we're not as much in debt as we were.
Yeah. We're not getting taken advantage of us. They paid us for they gave us the minerals, so now we can let them do what they want to do, and then act like we had nothing to do with it, like we didn't push the proxy. It's pretty sad, if you ask me.
Pretty sad. All right, coming in at number 2. Bush official admits U.S. built secret $21 trillion underground city for the rich and the powerful. Let's take a look at what the New York Post put out. So this Bush official claims U.S. built this secret city for rich and powerful to live in if a near extinction event happens. And so this is the trillions. The federal government has secretly spent trillions building an elaborate network of subterranean cities where the rich and powerful can shelter during a near extinction event. And the former Bush White House official, her name is Catherine Austin Fitz, and she says about 170 bunkers have been built across the country since 1998. So she happens to be a former Bush official, but she's saying this stretches through multiple administrations, multiple people, both sides of the aisle, obviously in on it, according to her, and it's preparation for a catastrophe. Let's see a breakdown. There's a short video breakdown of what she talked about on this appearance, and it happened on Tucker Carlson, but this is a breakdown we got off of Twitter. Here it is.
Administration official has come forward with a claim that's difficult to ignore. According to the New York Post, Catherine Austin Fitts says the U.S. government has secretly constructed a $21 trillion underground city. She alleges that this was funded through nearly 2 decades of unaccounted-for federal spending, money that vanished from the ledgers of the Department of Defense and the Department of Housing and Urban Development between 1998 and 2015. Fitts describes a network of over 170 underground and underwater facilities, not shelters, cities, built to house the powerful in the event of a near-extinction event. She says they're connected by high-speed transit systems, hidden beneath the surface of the United States, powered by advanced energy technologies the public has never been allowed to see. No vote, no announcement, no media coverage, just decades of quiet construction, shielded from public knowledge. If what she's saying is true, then these places already exist. The entrances are in place, the infrastructure is operational, and they aren't meant for everyone. The public was never informed. No explanation has been given. No officials have stepped forward to confirm or deny any part of it. So we have to ask the obvious questions. What do they know? What are they hiding? And what happens to the rest of us when the doors close?
And then this is a little screenshot of her on Tucker and Restricted Daily, who made the video. Shout out to Restricted Daily, the video we just saw. We don't really have a $36 trillion debt. What we have is a $21 trillion of our money pumped into an underground infrastructure. Secret tunnels, black budget projects the public will never see. The debt, that's just the distraction they feed you while the real empire gets built beneath your feet. And here's a visual depiction what it might look like underneath us right now. This is a remarkable reveal, and we know that Tucker Carlson's a place where people can go, and I think you're gonna definitely attest to this, Craig, that we do see a lot of big aha moment reveals on Tucker. They're generally done down the line when it's okay to do them, but this is where that conversation took place. New York Post put that article out. What are your thoughts on this story and the fact that obviously nobody in the mainstream will even dare mention this at all? What are your thoughts, Craig?
We've heard stories like this for a long time, right? My friend Gloria Guillo from Covert Magazine used to talk about the rich and the elite think that they're going to go underground and be okay, but unfortunately for them, their slaves that they bring down there will eventually turn on them when they're down below. Like, that was a comment she said a long time ago. We've heard these stories before. It doesn't surprise me because we've heard about tunnels underground. So I'd like to see more footage on this stuff and see this. But, Catherine Austin Fitts is someone I tend to listen to quite a bit. I like what she has to say a lot, and I do think she's genuine, and I do believe her a lot. But, once again, until the proof is in the pudding, until we get to see this, I think it's just going to be one of those rumors. It's going to be like the way they look at chemtrails, right? Geoengineering. For years, people would ignore it. Now, today, they're finally believing it, but it took them about 20 years to really grasp it. I think by the time we grasp it, it will all be over. And the Americans and the West attitude and energy, the way they keep going around about their foreign policy and weaponry, almost seems like it's an inevitability that they're going to do this. They're going to wipe out the whole, the Malthusians going to wipe out most of the planet while they live down below, let the dust settle, and then come up maybe, 20 years later. I mean, I don't know how long it takes, maybe 10 years later, but it doesn't seem impossible to me or, off the norm, like something like this might happen.
Yeah, well, I think you're right. We'll see how, several more years might have to go before people can even have this discussion like we're having about chemtrails. So I agree with you. We might be on track for that at some point. So it's the long game we got to play, but it's good to see at least, Tucker's having this conversation right now. So that's great. I mean, better late than never, I guess. But maybe this is an ongoing theme of our discussions on our shows is like, when is it okay to talk about something, and are we just getting little like, what did you say earlier? We're just getting little breadcrumbs or these little tiny moments of, hey, we're having this discussion, but what does it even change? This stuff still exists. It's still down there. We're still not going to have access to it, whether we're talking about it or not. But it's good to at least have the discussions, I guess. So
yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad it's out there. It's out there.
Okay. Coming in at number 1. If you guys haven't heard, India has bombed Pakistan, 2 very powerful, I guess you would say, nuclear arms, both countries with nuclear power. They're emboldened by Israel. Apparently, there's this backstory behind this. In the West, of course, the West frames this attack as retaliation, which we've heard that over and over. Let's just see the headline from New York Times, and then I'll show you the video coming out of India. Now, you had a couple things to share too on this, Craig, but this is just that initial shock, just so you know, anything you're hearing, any sort of positioning of the Western Empire, don't listen to any of that. Explosions that were reported in Pakistani Kashmir after India's vow of retaliation. And to follow up with that, this is what we found from some reports on Twitter. India just bombed Pakistan in 9 different locations. Israel and the nations that support it emboldened the rogue state of Modi's India. And then this is the follow-up to below from Angelino Giuliano. Mm-hmm. The thing is certain, India bombing Pakistan was completely disproportionate, irrational. War chaos in the region only benefits the U.S. and military-industrial complex. It is the attempt to divide BRICS and contain the global South. I know. I don't know if you had anything else on that, Craig, but it seems to me that this is right lockstep in anything else that there's no consistency here. If we were all, because we're looking at, okay, we have to be concerned about Iran. We have to be concerned about getting nuclear weapons. Well, both these countries have nuclear weapons, and it doesn't seem like that the West wants to even take this thing at all. They just want to kind of push it aside and not look at like, hey, if we were going to apply consistency like that, we should get involved. We should get concerned. Why is India bombing 9 locations at the same time? It seems like an Israel strategy to me. Just take them from all different directions and then pretend it's because of retaliation.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that really kind of go into this. I don't know if we can necessarily put this on the West and say it only embodies or embolds, what's going on. This is, 2 countries who have had, hot flashes and don't like each other for many years. When the colonial powers separated these 2 groups of people, they knew exactly what they were doing. And obviously, India is a bunch of Hindus, but they're not Muslim. That's the most important thing. So they'll support the Hindus or the Hindu nation as we see it, even though, a lot of people will say that Modi's government is a secular government. I do have, if you'd like to share what I just put up over there really quickly, I don't know if you have that, and you can see that there's always been this relationship. This is at the G7 summit. Like I told you, this was after the BRICS. Modi, you see how we cut through all the people right from Modi. You know what I'm saying? The West has always had a relationship. And I've always said that Modi is one of the most cunning, sharp leaders. He knows how to be everybody's friend, aside from his adversaries. Even with BRICS, where both India and China are there. But a lot of people understand that they want to have an alliance with India. They get weapons from Israel. Modi has been friends with Putin and been friends with Netanyahu. So it doesn't surprise me that they've had a hot flash of sorts. I think the big problem with a lot of people ignoring is the fact that the West has removed, Imran Khan. And I don't think these things would happen if Imran Khan was there. What India is responding to is a terrorist attack of sorts. And they're claiming that it was sanctioned by the Pakistani government, where the Pakistani government denies any connection to it whatsoever. So these could be outside forces that want this to continue to go on. They want to try to start some type of world war, right, and get their alignments. It does seem similar to when there's different things going on. So if there was a world war, who would Pakistan align with? Who would India align with? Well, India is going to align with the West. They're going to use Western weapons. You know what I'm saying? And Pakistan, who's been a puppet to the United States government, they don't care. They'll sacrifice the Pakistan government just like they sacrificed the Ukrainian people as well. The parallels are there. The United States doesn't care, but if they can start proxy wars wherever they're at and get people to align with certain countries, they'll do it.
Yeah,
they'll do it. And like I said, the day before Imran Khan was removed, shortly after he went to Russia, he went to speak to Putin the day before the invasion, and then he was there the day of the Russian invasion on Ukraine, and it put him in a very hard position to where he, we want to be friends with everybody. We can go talk to everybody, but he had to was forced to condemn it, but he didn't condemn it all the way. It was just a very weird situation. Pakistan, unfortunately, when it comes to the colonial forces, is nothing more than collateral damage and, to be used for a proxy. So it wouldn't surprise me if there is some CIA behind what happened with Pakistan attacking India, if they make India, go ahead and turn. I mean, I've heard stories that the Mossad was bombing Catholic churches in where was it, Iraq, and that forced a lot of Jews. Excuse me, they were bombing mosques in Iraq. There used to be Jews in Iraq years and years ago, but they all left. They had to flee, and they were doing that around the region to make sure that people would flee to Israel, thinking that they were being condemned by those other countries, and yet it was inside jobs to pad in their stats and to pad in their position that the state of Israel needed to be created so Jews could have a safe place to go. They're 3 steps ahead, the ruling class of us, Matt. So there's no surprise here too as well. And I put those videos in there if you'd like to play them.
We're going to play that
up to date.
This is the first one is right from the ground. The visual's a little difficult, but you can hear the sounds. And again, these are 9 different parts of Pakistan was bombed simultaneously. This is from one of from the ground. Let me throw this one up first, and then we'll play yours. And I do think they're sending a message to anybody in India, the citizens, very similar like where we have pushback. We have people in the streets. India certainly has people in the streets for Palestine. So they're saying, you know what, we're going to be on the side of the oligarchy, and we're going to send this message. So the funding of it, we talk about the funding of the arms. Does that come from directly from Israel, from the West? We've looked into that a little. Craig, do you want to play did you put the new one up?
I put them in there for you.
Okay, great. Okay, let's go. Here we go.
No. That's not.
Sorry.
That's what that's for when
that's for later. Okay.
Why it comes on.
Let me grab. I did not see your other. Oh, I see. It's on the thing. Okay, my bad. Here we go. I'll do a shared.
You don't have to, you just do it. You don't have to share it.
I have to share it, don't I? No?
I gave you the links. The links are in the docs. I put 2 links in the docs in that section.
Yeah, so I'm sharing it on my thing here.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're playing it on your thing. Yeah. So this is what happened a couple
being in a high state of alert and vigilance have so far neutralized 12 Harap drones at various locations. These locations are Lahore, Gujranwala, Chakwal, Rawalpindi, Attak, Bahawalpur, Miano, Chor, and near Karachi. You can see on the screen some of the parts of the debris of these neutralized drones. As we speak, the debris and the neutralized drones and the drones that have been forced to be on the ground, that is being collected from multiple locations in Pakistan. Other than these 12, one drone, however, managed to engage a military target near Lahore partially. 4 men of Pakistan Army have been injured in this attack near Lahore, and partial damage to an equipment has occurred. Due to this activity, another drone, as a result of that, another result of this activity at Miano, there is one civilian has embraced shahadat, and one is injured.
So that was just Pakistan responding. I think that's enough to play. The other one with the India Today talks about how the Indian Navy is now in place against what's going on in Pakistan. Both networks are putting up war room, identifying where the drones are coming from. So this can be a real hot war. It's already somewhat hot right now, but can get hotter. But they've had spark ups in the past where they've stopped and they've kind of calmed down. And we hope that will happen again and cooler minds will prevail. But, this is This doesn't look like a good situation. Like I said, as we hear the stories about the underground bunkers, and then you see these other countries lining up, and you understand who they'll align with, it's almost like world wars that are aligning, and nuclear holocaust is on the menu. It doesn't seem like something that we really want to happen. So hopefully these things will calm down. But the Indians, you can see in their TV, India Today, in their language, it's like they're not going to back down. They feel justified in doing what they're doing.
Yeah. So this is the other one. Do you want
volume?
Yeah, we'll get this one going.
The first time since 1971, India is going for the jugular. Indian Navy has targeted Karachi. This has happened for the first time since 1971 as part of Operation Trident. And when Karachi was struck in 1971, Karachi was burning for 11 days. Half the Pakistan Navy flotilla had sunk in or around the harbor in 1971, but now once again Karachi has been targeted. I want to bring in Sandeep Puneethan. Few people know Indian Navy is might better than Sandeep Puneethan. Sandeep, Navy has targeted Karachi. This is huge right now.
Huge, Gaurav, and it brings back memories of 1971, 54 years back, when Indian missile boats in the span of less than 30 minutes staged the 20th century's largest ship-to-ship missile engagements. In less than 30 minutes, they had sunk a destroyer, a minesweeper, and a merchant ship bringing ammunition for the Pakistan military. And of course, they targeted the fuel tanks at Karachi, setting Karachi ablaze. And that was followed by a second attack, Operation Python, a few days later, where they targeted multiple ships of the Pakistan Navy, forcing the Pakistan Navy, bottling the Pakistan Navy up in Karachi. So that is very clearly something that would bring uncomfortable memories of a naval defeat back to Pakistan.
So you can see, from remembering what happened in 1971, here we are again. This thing can get out of control. And it's not talked about a lot in the Western media as well, because it's just...
No.
I don't think Americans would have the headspace for this. They wouldn't. They wouldn't even care. They probably don't even know what the hell's going on in Kashmir.
Yeah, we're only going to green light. It's a Hollywood style here, right? You got to green light the thing that's going to resonate with the audience, and this won't resonate, so we're going to shelve it.
Yeah. And you can see the way, we played the video of Biden walking across the stage to make sure he says hi to Modi. Well, Donald Trump had the same type of attitude when he was approached by the press shortly after Modi sent his troops into Kashmir, and India part Kashmir, to confiscate it, to make it part of the motherland. And a lot of people like Imran Khan were upset on the Pakistani nation. They asked Donald Trump, what about it? And Donald Trump said, Modi's handling it. Hands off, whatever Modi wants to do, he's got the green light from the Americans. So, they've been aligned for quite some time, the West and India, against Pakistan. But it's weird because our deep state chooses who the Pakistani president's going to be, because they have a lot of connections with the Pakistani military, who always overthrows the elected prime minister.
Yeah. All right. Well, good thing we're here to have this discussion, because the mainstream media ain't covering it. And that's why we're here to bring you top censored news
of the week. Go Knicks.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Boo Celtics. Okay. Let's get on here. Our special guest today. Do you want to? You
can introduce him to your show, brother.
You can. Okay. It's our show today, Craig. It's our show. But
you go ahead and do it though. You do the unpacking.
Okay. Well, we're excited to have him back. He's been a troop on the ground for the on the right side of history, let's say, every time fighting against the military industrial complex and the war machine and the elite. He's a managing editor for the Grayzone. Please welcome back to the show, WYATT REED. Hey, Wyatt.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Shit, look at that beard.
I know, it's getting out of control.
Damn, it's like freaking Peter Griffin. The bird's gonna fly out of it.
Yeah, man. It's good to see you guys. How you been?
Pretty good.
Great, man.
Yeah. Well,
nice.
Look, I mean, we have, man, the war machine, I feel like, has only intensified since the three of us were last together. We had a good conversation, I think, since it was, oh yeah, we were in Chicago doing all the in the streets. We were in the streets with the people fighting against the genocide. No mention of what was going on in the streets there, because the DNC was embracing it, not letting anybody from Palestine be represented, not even to get up on the stage and say one little thing before they gave their support to Kamala. So we saw that, and fast forward months and months later, here we are. We got this new regime in place that's doing exactly the same thing as the previous one, which is funding genocide. And it seems that we're getting so close to annihilation of the entire Palestinian people, like we've been screaming about the whole way, but they're right out admitting it.
Could you argue though, Matt, they're not even doing the same, that they're doing more?
They're doing more. They're fast tracking. That's what it seems like. And they're more willing to say it out loud. We saw Trump parading around with that AI video about the Trump Gaza and what we're going to do once it's cleared out. So saying it's ethnic cleansing out loud, but we weren't allowed to say it was ethnic cleansing. We aren't allowed to say it was a genocide, but they are. I'm just going to throw this one up. This is the Israeli TV producer admitting that they're not only doing a genocide, but they're bragging about that it's almost done. I mean, this is absolutely insane. And we're going to get your thoughts on this. I'm sure we all agree that this is totally nuts, but I just don't understand how they can get away with this without us saying, see, they're saying it out loud. They're literally saying it out loud. Here it is.
Hamas.
Yeah, right. Oh, wait. Yeah. Just return the hostages and this will all go away. Right. So Israeli TV producer calls for Gaza Holocaust and gas chambers. This is disgusting. This famous television producer in Israel has come under intense scrutiny following the uncovering of a series of inflammatory social media posts in which he called for the Holocaust against the people of Gaza. Elad Bashari, who has worked in the Israeli entertainment industry for several years, sparked outrage after posting on X, "Good morning, let there be a Shola Holocaust in Gaza." And another post, he wrote, "I can't understand the people here in the state of Israel who don't want to fill Gaza with gas showers or train cars," and finish the story. Let there be a Holocaust in Gaza. Who is the fool who says there are innocents in Gaza? Who is the despicable scoundrel who wants to let them flee to Arab countries or Europe freely? So this is the kind of language they're allowed to use. But when we use this language, we're called, drumroll, anti-Semitic. So we can't have this discussion at all. And now it's becoming more and more on the element of illegal, the free speech being cracked down here. Again, saying the same stuff they're saying out loud. Why do you feel that this has intensified since we were all in Chicago protesting this at the DNC? Has it fast tracked, or is it the same old, same old?
You mean just the sociopathy of the average Israeli?
Yeah, and the positioning and the being as vocal about it. Is it the same amount of like just transparency about what they're really doing, or has it been the same way the whole time? In other words, is this new administration allowing more people like this to be vocal about it out loud? Because he's literally saying, let's put up a Trump Gaza. Let's, basically saying it's ethnic cleansing.
Sure. I mean, I think pretty much it's been incentivized the entire way. No one, as far as I'm aware, has been punished at all for any of the horrific things that they publish or post on social media, any of the things that, videos where they're bragging or dedicating to their girlfriend the explosion and the detonation of a family home or a school and saying, "This is for you, my love." The videos where they're going through, Palestinian women's lingerie and dancing around it. And, no one has faced any accountability at all. So whether or not, the president of the United States is going to get on stage and cheer for you or just pretend to, I mean, it certainly wasn't, Biden wasn't out and out condemning any of that. So I'm not sure that it's like more acceptable. I think it was always considered, not just acceptable, but widely encouraged within the Israeli army. The aggressive refusal to court-martial anybody for anything basically sent that signal from day one. But just in terms of the Auschwitz imagery specifically, the gas chambers, it kind of draws to mind a story that we put out about a year ago about a mother of an Israeli hostage who was actually killed when the Israeli army gassed the tunnels that he was being held in. And so she herself said that the Israeli military gassed my son like Auschwitz, using her exact words. And she even put an epitaph to that effect on the grave of her son, which was subsequently destroyed by the Israeli military. The Israeli military came and destroyed her son's grave because she had condemned them for gassing her son like Auschwitz on it. So obviously, those are certain words that you're allowed to say in certain contexts, but not in others, not in the context where you're saying what the IDF did, only in the context when you're making something up or fantasizing about genociding Palestinians.
Yeah.
I think there's some colleagues of mine and ours at the Grayzone that are on WBAI that would still consider praising or saying that there's certain members of the Democratic Party, i.e. the squad, that have at least spoken up for Israel. And I think they're providing cover for them because they've used language just like Bernie Sanders used the other day. Israel has a right to protect itself. And using that type of language, to me, is completely false and fence-sitting. The Pope saying that it has all the characteristics of a genocide and not calling it a genocide for itself. But do you see more or less the Democratic Party still trying to play off this whole, well, we were the ones who had at least a few people, AOC at least lied to us and said that Biden and Kamala Harris were working endlessly on a ceasefire when we found out they never asked for a ceasefire. Do you see the Democrats coming around and still trying to play this avenue that they're the better ones when it comes to being anti-Zionist and at least calling for a ceasefire and peace in Gaza? And how do you think that would affect the mainstream Americans, especially the young Americans that seem to be showing up at AOC and Bernie Sanders rallies nowadays? It's like, to me, I'm just so surprised that haven't we learned our lesson? Because when there's a Republican in office, they're a lot more vocal. And when there's a Democrat in office, they're a lot more silent.
Yeah, well, the only thing the Democrats love being more than being in office is being out of office, when they don't actually have to do anything and they can just run around and
great point,
make these ridiculous statements, and they don't never have to back anything up, and they get to do all their little photo ops. AOC running around and screaming about concentration camps for children and fake crying for the cameras, all this kind of stuff. It's ideal for them because they're mostly theater kids at heart, and that's their chance to shine. Is like, we can get this out of our system now, and this is we don't actually have any interest in creating real solutions or to any of these pressing problems. We just want to be on TV and have people be nice to us. I don't know, the Trump phenomenon is so interesting because every time you think he's gonna take on the deep state and fight back against the Israeli lobby, he does the opposite, and then you give up completely on him, and then all of a sudden he blindsides Netanyahu, and he's having direct negotiations with Iran, and he's having a ceasefire with the Houthis, and apparently, and when he's asked about the Israelis, he says, well, I don't know anything about that. So it's we're how far into his term now? Well past the 100 days, and I still have maybe even less of an idea of how I think he's going to handle the Middle East than I did when he started, because there's not, and maybe this is some art of the deal thing. He's just trying to wring out the best possible deal at all times, and that's usually the explanation that's given.
That's the excuse. I don't know if that's the explanation. And I gotta say, this point, those theories are hard to hold up. I mean, your boy Garrett Ike, who follows you over there, and his father David, have been calling out Donald Trump for what he is for quite some time. And I think there was a lot of us who didn't get fooled like these libertarians. That's why I've had push back against Dave Smith. Now he's going out there talking out for Israel, against Israel, when he justified and capitulated to saying, yeah, he's a Zionist, but it's okay to vote for him. But maybe he's putting Netanyahu on a leash. But at the end of the day, Israel has gotten everything they got from Biden, if not more. In fact, this presidency, Donald Trump sent them bombs, Israel bombs, the bunker busters, those 20 million pound, whatever they are, bombs that Biden wouldn't even send them. So I think they've gotten more, and the money line is there. The Adelsons, the money line is there. And now what's going on in the West Bank, that was one of the reasons why Miriam Adelson put up that money, so Donald Trump would turn his back on the colonization and the illegal settlements in the West Bank. Sorry to cut you off, but I just think
No, I don't disagree at all. I think you're right about all that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do think there is this kind of maverick spirit of Donald Trump just wants to be Trump and fuck everyone else kind of thing. And every so often, I think that, I mean, and I guess I'll try to make this point in terms of the Iran deal. Because what we've seen so far in terms of a proposed, you know, like when they asked Trump, do you have a plan? No, I have shades of a plan. I have ideas
concepts
of a plan. I have concepts of a plan. So the concepts of a plan that we've seen for Iran are basically just a JCPOA 2, right? It's almost the same kind of stuff with the same sort of snapback sanctions. You know, Iran will not be allowed to enrich beyond XYZ% and under, you know, and under certain conditions. And if they do that, then we'll have these snapback sanctions that we use to, you know, go back to economically coercing Iran. So the same exact framework that Donald Trump himself rejected. But I will posit here that I think that the Iranians paradoxically could only really accept this deal from Donald Trump, because Donald Trump would rip up anybody else's deal. The Republicans, whoever, you know, comes after Trump, would probably feel comfortable ripping up a Democratic deal. They wouldn't feel comfortable ripping up one made by Donald Trump. The Democrats probably aren't going to go about ripping up trade deal, you know, that kind of deal, because it doesn't work for them electorally. And it's not something they can sell their base on.
Yeah.
So there's this weird angle where the man who is responsible for putting us in this situation is effectively the only one who can get us out, because no one else could be trusted to honor the deal. Yeah, it's a little bit convoluted, but I feel like there's kind of a lot of weird, kind of side angles at play that make it so that somehow Trump might be the only one who could actually get an Iran deal done.
It reminds
even
me,
if it's
Wyatt,
the same exact deal that he tore up before.
It reminds me, Wyatt, and I'm sorry to jump in there again, Matt. I know I'm kind of my boy is on here, so I got to talk to him. I love my boy over there. That's my roll dog. You know what I'm saying? We're biker boys. We never die. But it does remind me of. It does remind me of the Democrats going, I wouldn't take that shot. It's Donald Trump's shot. Don't take that shot. It's Donald Trump's shot. And as soon as they got in, take the shot. They're pushing the same shot. It's just that kind of. But listen, I do want to also point out that the only argument that I would accept right now that Donald Trump is playing any sort of game of chess is saying, Israel, you can have your war with Gaza. You can have your war with the Lebanese. We'll get you Syria. We'll get him thrown out of there. You know what I'm saying? We'll make some type of deal with the Russians backdoor. Assad is gone. But you don't get a war with Iran. You get these other things, but Iran, you don't get the war, because there are people within the Trump administration, and it was led by Tulsi Gabbard. J.D. Vance then got on board. Even Hegseth said a war with Iran is not good. So there does seem to me to be, if there is any type of play, that he'll let them have the other wars. He'll let them ethnically cleanse Gaza, but you don't get a war with Iran on my shift. You can get a war with Iran when a Democrat comes to office, not with a Republican like me. Same with J.D. Vance. I don't know.
The right populist flank is far more vocal about no war with Iran than the squad is. You know, you see these great posts from Marjorie Taylor Greene where it's just like line after line after line of hard-hitting fact. And I'm like, wow, where is Bernie Sanders on this?
Yeah.
He's mumbling something about Medicare and, you know, some kind of mumbled defense of the right for Israel to exist or something. Like, you know, where is anybody who claims to be left saying these kinds of things that MTG is? No war with Iran. Nobody in America knows what a Houthi is, but we know what being lied into a war looks like. You know, it's just it's an obvious angle, and it's depressing that they don't take it. But I guess that kind of tells you where we're at nowadays.
Yeah,
great points of view, man.
It's literally bizarro world where Marjorie Taylor Greene is our anti-war voice in Congress. I mean, seriously, you're right, 100% White. There is no voice on the left. We saw it coming, you know, a while now. This isn't a big shock, but it's so bizarre to watch in real time. And I do think, like, yes, so we're looking at an Iran deal happening and giving Trump credit for that. The thing, and I'm glad you brought up Marjorie Taylor Greene, because she's also been very vocal against any sort of bill being passed that's going to make it illegal to protest, to boycott, anything to do with Israel or any foreign country for that matter. But primarily, it's very clear that Israel, that is the country that's being protected. That's the country all of the other politicians are doing their biddings for. And she's the only one, really, and Thomas Massie, the only one standing up saying, what kind of ridiculous bill is being put in front of our elected officials right now that are going to tell the American people they're not allowed to have a problem with a foreign country and us funding that foreign country for war. It makes no sense. But that's the part that I'm more skeptical that Trump will definitely take a back step when his administration is done. It seems to me like we're going to be a lot further back as far as free speech and as far as consistency with what American citizens are allowed to do with their First Amendment or not, regardless of a deal with Iran. That's going to be a definite backstep. And again, the Democrats aren't going to do anything to help us there either. So that's my biggest concern right now, other than obviously getting annihilated in nuclear annihilation. But that's what I see him not coming through on at all.
Yeah, well, he's made it very clear that the free speech exceptions apply when it comes to Israel, and I guess basically everyone does at this point, other than people you mentioned, Thomas Massie. I don't actually know what the latest on the boycott Israeli bill is.
I think it was nixed. I think it was killed, right?
Because of those two.
Yeah.
Because of Thomas Massie and Marjorie, that's why it was nixed, because of them being vocal. That's how it works. That's how politics is supposed to work, right? You're supposed to stand up for your constituents and say this is BS, and they were loud enough, and it got nixed. So good for them.
Well, that is a relief for now, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, in the meantime, they are obviously passing. All these state legislatures are passing bills to adopt the IHRA. Definition of anti-Semitism, which says that anyone who criticizes Israel is an anti-Semite. And they're passing these kind of BDS bills on a state-by-state basis so far. So I guess they kind of overshot with this one. That is reassuring to know that it's not going to be illegal to boycott Israel for at least the next congressional cycle.
Yeah. I think that we were talking earlier about the most censored news of the week, right? At the end of the day, I keep saying this to Matt before the show, and we get going like, all right, these are great topics, but we understand the most censored news now of the week, every single week, is the fact that mainstream media is not even talking about what's going on in Israel, Gaza. At one point, Fox News, CNN, NBC used to have a little clock for Israeli hostages returned. They're not even talking about that nowadays. And in fact, if you could put up the share my screen over here, antiwar.com. The libertarian I do like, Dave DeCamp. Israeli military lists returning hostages as the least important goal for Gaza. And you can see they have the 5 things. According to the report, retrieving the hostages was placed last in a list of 6 objectives. Those goals include defeating Hamas. We must defeat Hamas. Hamas. Operational control over the territory. Demilitarizing the territory, flooding those tunnels, striking Hamas government targets, concentrating and moving the population so they can get their settlers in, and then returning the captives. So they're not even talking about the whole situation. Is like, we have to do this to return the hostages. You guys at the Grayzone, I think, have talked better about, at least more clear about some of the directives, the Hannibal directives and whatnot, that they never really cared about the hostages. They might have used them as fodder every once in a while, but it's not even on the list anymore. Wyatt, they're not even hiding it anymore. They don't give a damn. And like Matt has said before in the show, they're speaking this out loud when it comes to ethnic cleansing, settling, and genocide. Go ahead, buddy.
Well, what strikes me about this list is that the first four things are all basically the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's honestly like they're kind of spitting on the captives. We're basically just making up stuff, just filling, trying to hit the word count or something to stick them at the end of this very long list. Defeating Hamas is the same thing as having operational control over the territory, basically, which is the same thing, basically, as demilitarizing the territory. which is defeating Hamas and striking Hamas government targets are the same thing. You know, so
and the Ten Commandments are like that, Wyatt. They all kind of mean the same thing, anyways. They're taking a playbook out of the Bible over here. You got to give them some credit.
Well, you know, I can differentiate at least between killing someone and coveting his wife. But these, it's like I don't know. You're going to defeat Hamas and you're going to strike the Hamas government targets. Wow, you know, no kidding.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And demilitarizing the territory, like you said.
Yeah,
that's
right.
It's all this 1 through 4 is the same. 5 and 6 are different, but 5 is an admission of what they were doing the whole time.
Gaza, you know, and then 6 is then we're going to worry about these, you know, these guys that we profess to care so much about that we have to genocide an entire, 2 million people.
Number 5 is important for Jared Kushner, by the way, because he needs to get in there and get some schematics on how to build these beachfront properties that he wants to get up there on the Gaza Strip. So number 5 is all about, our good friend Jared Kushner. Let's get them out of there so we can get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the new plan from what we're hearing is that the idea is that they're bringing in some kind of Blackwater style forces to administer the aid distribution. That the Israelis aren't going to do it, but it's going to be kind of a kind of Bantustan situation with some kind of weird internationally accepted aid distribution force that's basically all American mercenaries. And then I assume they would be using all of that information to track and monitor people and try to get them to rat out other neighbors and politicize the aid, to weaponize the aid. As it were. And then we're also hearing that they basically plan to just flatten, I think is the word they're using, Gaza, and maybe just ship all of the people to, I haven't even read any, if there's any specific country that's being proposed, I'm not even sure if that's public knowledge at this point in time. They are getting more and more dramatic with the kinds of things that they're saying in public now, just kind of lining up directly with what they're doing. I mean, at the beginning of this, it was they spent weeks trying to claim that Hamas destroyed the hospital or that those people themselves they had a tunnel under there, so we had no choice but to strike it. Now they just don't care. They say we're gonna bomb all of Khan Yunis, and we're not even going to really tell you when we do it anymore because everyone, has stopped paying attention on the international media. It doesn't seem to bother anyone. You know,
I think
the only thing stopping them is the Houthis, obviously, which, I think is another kind of wrinkle in all this political calculus, because if Trump actually has worked out a ceasefire with the Houthis under which the Ansar Allah movement, that whole section of Yemen is free to continue striking Israeli ships, and Uncle Sam is just going to sit it out, then that actually does change the calculus pretty significantly, because all of a sudden Israel's on its own. It's responsible for, they need to direct a significant measure of their military towards keeping the southern flank clear. If they're not going to have the USS Truman babysitting down there in the Red Sea, they've got to do that themselves. Well, that will take some pressure off the people of Gaza and the people of Lebanon as well.
But I think they can provide them with the extra bombs. From what I understand is Israel's up the bombing on Sana'a, right? And they're getting all those bombs from the U.S. We talked about the 2,000-pound bombs that are bunker busters. So, I mean, I think that, the United States can play it off like they're sitting it out, but they're still providing all the weapons and the know-it-all, too.
We'll see. We don't really know what the terms of the ceasefire look like, but I would imagine that they would continue shipping them things. But even so, they would need to have local military assets in the Red Sea to be able to protect the shipping to and from the Red Sea, which, as far as I'm aware, Israel doesn't have that advanced of naval capabilities, but I'm not a military expert by any means.
Well, as far as the people and what they're going to be doing with them, we were talking about, we started with 2.1 million people, and all the talk about who we're going to ship them to, who's left. I'm looking at the calendar, and I'm just trying to imagine, being in a position where if you're in like we heard in Rafah, like the entire place has been wiped out, and that's like the southernmost tip. What are the people? They're waiting for what? Waiting for answers about where they're going to be shipped to as they're starving to death, as aid workers are still being murdered as they try to get aid to them. This is ongoing every day. I think, to me, I feel like there's this stalling out approach to where we don't really necessarily have to have an answer to how many hundreds of thousands have to go to this country or that country. You're losing them by the day, and that starvation timeline, it's ticking down. I mean, if we go much longer, there's not going to be anybody left to ship out of there. And that's the reality of it. And I don't know how they're going to write those numbers off and say they weren't killed by Israel. They're going to have secondary justification as far as how they died. But we know it's all from this assault from Israel. It's been ongoing, and the starvation is the last part of that, I think. So you don't actually have to ship too many of them out of there, even if you just wait it out.
Well, that's been the strategy so far. Just run the clock out until. And I think, like we said, they're kind of hitting that point of media fatigue and especially a week like this, when just over the past 48 hours, it seems like all hell broke loose. And, you have all of a sudden World War III capable of breaking out on almost any continent at any time, basically. So, I think that does work a little bit in the Israeli favor, just having a bunch of other stuff happening, having people kind of, paying less attention, not being clued in as they otherwise might be. And going back to it, I think, it's funny about the Democrats, because it does actually work a little bit in favor of justice to have, now that they're allowed to say that, genocide is bad, or that, Israel shouldn't be killing children. That is the people who traditionally, the Democratic base, who have been more willing to speak up on behalf of Palestinians. Not that it's done them much good over the past, say 70 years, but that is traditionally who has been expected to kind of push back against whatever Israel has planned for Palestinians. So now, there is at least some segment of the Democratic Party that feels a little bit more free to speak to their conscience, or that empty void where their conscience used to be.
But then that's why they take Bernie and AOC and parade them out to do the Fight the Oligarchy tour. It's to take those Democrats on the fence that were like, wait a minute, we should be angry now. Let's do this.
It's a political strategy, masquerading as ethics. But it, I think the end result might be slightly more attention being paid to Gaza, but the jury's obviously still out on that one.
I mean, we hope so. We hope there's people waking up and going, wait a minute, now's the time of any, even if you still have a little Trump derangement syndrome going, this, like you said, I think you're suggesting here, right, that now is a good time, because you can say, hey, what is this administration doing? Why are we canceling free speech? Why are we continuing to go through this, whatever this greater Israel project is, that our administration, our money is paying for? Now's a good time more than ever to get vocal. But I don't know, Wyatt. I think that, again, the Bernie and AOC, this Fight the Oligarchy, it's designed to get those people that were ready to get vocal, bring them back in. And if you show up with a sign, with a Free Palestine sign to a Bernie and AOC rally, you get led away in handcuffs. I mean,
but the crowd does not seem to appreciate it very much.
Well, that's true.
Crowd seems to
Israel has the right to defend itself, Wyatt.
Yeah.
Israel, 22 months later, with 50,000, only the ones that are buried they counted, so maybe close to 200,000 women and children. Israel has a right to defend itself because why? Hamas. Matt, I know that been talking about Israel-Palestine for a while too as well, but before Wyatt gets out of here, I'd love to talk to him a little bit about Russia-Ukraine. I mean, this is a guy who the Kiev regime, and by the way, my good friend, both my friends Fiorella and Wyatt were on Ukrainian hit list, and I never made that list. Garland Nixon made it. You know, me and Wilmer were sitting there like, why didn't we make the hit list? We better work harder. But I got put on a right-wing Ukrainian hit list, and my man Wyatt pointed it out for me and sent me the article. I was like, holy cow, I'm connected to General Flynn and his brother. I didn't know that what's going on. And I made a Ukrainian hit list, but once again, I am still kind of like intrigued and admiring my good friend Wyatt, who they sent a missile to his goddamn hotel room when he was out there. That was some time ago, but I know you've been paying close attention to what's going on. We played earlier today, Wyatt, the Donald Trump statement. It's like, you know, Victory Day in Russia is whatever, but, you know, we're the ones who really won the war. It was up to us. We had Captain America and the Avengers going at the late stages, and we won that war, so we're going to have our own Victory Day. Everybody knows. Like we teach it in school, it was the Americans. And he didn't show up there. We had 19 global leaders there, Xi Jinping, Nicolas Maduro.
Yeah.
You know, you had what's his name? Miguel Diaz-Canel from Cuba was over there. I even like the fact, and we didn't even talk about, that both the Armenian and the Azerbaijan president showed up, who were really at war with each other. But that's how the power of the Russian Federation is. They can have enemies show up and at least for that day settle down. What are your thoughts on what's going on as far as, you know, this war, we're going to end it in 24 hours there, Wyatt. I got my watch going. It's still going on. The drones that were going into Moscow the other day that had to be shot down right before the truce, right? The 3-day truce they were supposed to have. Those were American-made drones, and there's still sanctions on RT and Sputnik. Nothing has been lifted off the media sanctions. What are your thoughts on the 24-hour war that was supposed to be ended by Donald Trump that still hasn't been ended?
Yeah, I mean, we've heard kind of similar pledges from American presidents before that they made on the campaign trail, you know, about Vietnam and other things that were not honored afterwards, or certainly not in the time frame that they were promised. But I think that was probably a pretty tall order, the idea that he was just going to get Putin on the phone and get Zelensky on the phone and you know, lay down the law. That would only happen. The only possible way for that to happen is if he calls up Vladimir Putin and says, "What do you want? We'll give it to you," and then calls up Vladimir Zelensky and tells him, "Here's what's happening." But that doesn't seem to have been quite what happened. Instead, we kind of have this drawn-out sort of withdrawal process by which the U.S. is increasingly trying to wash its hands of this and dump it on the Europeans, who were so anxious to have all this happen in the first place. And in that sense, you know, I don't know. I guess I've heard a lot of people kind of portraying the mineral deal as a net negative for the Russian side, because it's kind of going to tie the U.S. to this country. I'm not really sure that it does. I think it, you know, I'd have to actually go through the documents and double check all this. But from what I'm understanding, it's the United States is still not really obligated in any sense to send any kind of troops or arms or anything, as far as I can tell. It basically just gives them kind of options in case, you know, some profitable mine is found that some American company decides they want to exploit. Basically, it seems like they get 50% of profits, and I'm sure they get preferable kind of preferential treatment, I should say. And then, you know, we've heard this kind of statement from J.D. Vance that Trump sort of backed up, saying that the Russians are asking for too much, which doesn't surprise me either. I mean, they're asking for everything that they want because they have the momentum on the battlefield. They have a massive manpower advantage. And there's sort of an inevitability setting in, I think, on the Ukrainian side that we're losing, and we're losing quickly. And that kind of acknowledgement of, you know, there is a real manpower shortage. There are only so many men who you can send to the front, and there's only so many men who you can pick up off the street and kidnap from their cars before society breaks down. I mean, my sense of the guys on the front lines is that these aren't professional soldiers. Most of Ukraine's professional fighting forces is not being expended to just kind of hold trenches in eastern Ukraine. So there, that question of the ticking time bomb for Ukraine, that's a real one. So I think there's a sense here to create the illusion of a victory for Ukraine, on motivating the Ukrainian side to take a deal that they probably would not have accepted a few months ago. And, to kind of, because throughout the past 3 years, that's basically what the Ukrainian strategy has been, is that image and, PR campaigns are the most important thing. And whatever the tactical stuff that's happening on the actual battlefield, we can paper that over, we can dress that up nice in the press, but it's kind of a secondary importance. What's really important is that we hold Bakhmut, or we hold, some other, we hold Krinky on the other side of Kherson, and you'll have the military planners and the strategists and certain elements of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine saying, wait, hold on, why are we spending tens of thousands of soldiers holding this backwoods town in the middle of nowhere? And everyone will come up and say, oh, well, it's actually strategically significant because it sits here between this front and the other. And it always was just because, well, this was something that Zelensky got attached to, and he made it a major leg of his public relations strategy.
Yeah.
And he was unwilling to give up some symbolic town here or there, despite knowing that thousands of his troops are being slaughtered to hold on to it. That's kind of the whole. It's kind of the whole reason why the Ukrainians are in the situation that they're in now. They never really seemed to grasp that they're fighting an old school war with an old school opponent who doesn't care if they get mean things said about them on CNN, and it doesn't matter. And that's, still doesn't really seem to have sunk in, and I think it probably won't until there's regime change in Kiev.
And I think that's the only way this ends, is regime change in Kiev. And let me tell you, the reason why it works, that PR battle that you're talking about, where they can hold on to this backwards half-ass wooden town over there, right, is because Americans buy it, hook, line, and sinker. They're so naive to what's going on there. Oh, did you hear that Ukraine is held part of Russian territory inside Russia proper? But here's the other PR battle. If you could put that up, Matt, what I have there is the fact that it's really never been about peace. Donald Trump has never been the peace candidate. He's always been, and this reminds me of, I don't know if you remember when Donald Trump was sitting up there with the MBS and the Saudi prince, his first term, and he was talking about, look at all these weapons we sold, they bought all these weapons and stuff like that. Well, the Trump administration readies first sale of military equipment to Ukraine. Okay, so now we're not being a chump anymore. Why? We're not giving them weapons on Joe tax dollars. Now, the State Department certifies license for $50 million or more in defense hardware and services after the mineral deal signed. So Donald Trump was in there, art of the deal. He gets the minerals, and now he's going to allow Ukraine to buy weapons. It's not coming out of Joe. It's all about, we're not being taken. They're paying their fair share.
So maybe they are serious.
Yeah.
So maybe they are more serious about collecting on these minerals than I realized.
But they don't have the means and the necessary ways to drill them and extract them properly. They have all the minerals here they're not even extracting properly because they don't have the means to do it. It's they want to just stop China from getting it. That's it. That's the argument.
Yeah. Well, because the question still becomes, who wants to invest in a war-ravaged country where you have to demine the entire area before you can get started drilling? And who knows when, the shells could start flying again. You can't get stuff like that insured. It's not. It becomes basically impossible, or practically impossible, or very least totally infeasible from a business perspective. So my question is, unless they have, or my point, I guess, is unless they actually have a real meaningful peace with Russia, all of those concessions are more or less worthless, because who's going to want to take advantage of them? So maybe I need to read up more on that.
They're not worthless in the sense that it's the PR part of it, right? So now we're not looking at this like this never-ending cash flow.
You can sell it to the MAGA base a little more easily.
That's how you sell it. It's the art of the deal. And then MAGAs are high-fiving. They're still calling him a peace president, but it's the same. It hasn't really put an end to anything. And then again, like you're saying, they're both saying that the mineral deal itself isn't really a good deal. It just looks better that we're not just writing blank checks and not getting anything for it. So it presents better. That's how I'm seeing it. And then of course, like there's enough of the MAGA base, it's going to keep making excuses of every time the can's kicked down the road, and you got Marco Rubio botching these, getting in this stalemate and not getting out of it. And then here we are, more weapons to Ukraine. Do you guys remember? I was thinking about the BlackRock deal that happened way back with Biden, where they spent BlackRock and some other of these weapons companies. They spent close to, I think it was $500 billion on buying up parts of Ukraine, making Ukraine into an actual, like, you could literally call it Ukraine LLC. So when I see the mineral deal, I start thinking, well, is this for the U.S. or is this for which companies are capitalizing on this situation when Trump makes a deal like this? Because BlackRock already came in. They already are a massive player in what happens with the property in Ukraine and how they're going to make more money off of it in the future.
I know they were heavily focused on the kind of the agricultural scene. I'd have to go revisit the terms of that deal. From what I remember, it was mainly kind of the farm. They wanted to basically seize the farmland.
The grains. The grains. Don DeBar did some great work on it too. But if Kiev were to get destroyed to be rebuilt back in a 5-minute city, BlackRock would be a part of that. BlackRock and Vanguard. But that hasn't happened yet in the script. I think that's coming.
That's season 3.
It's a few chapters
season
in.
3.
Yeah.
I'm in the wrong season. We're still in season 2. Season 3 will be, Well, listen, what do you say to the argument or the theory? Obviously, when I watch a lot of Judge Knapp, right? Because Judge Knapp has on the leftist ex-spooks in Larry Johnson and Ray McGovern. They do a thing every week. And then, obviously, John Kiriakou is another what I consider a leftist ex-spook. But when you listen to a lot of what they have to say, they're talking about what's really going on in actual real time from a military perspective. When you listen to people like Fiorella and Vanessa Beeley, they will tie into what happened in Syria as part of a deal that what's going to happen in Ukraine, Russia. And a lot of people had thought that the Russian Federation and Putin had turned their back on Assad. An agreement to help out the Israelis allowed them to take territory and the West to do what they have to do in return for a ceasefire and stopping of the war in Russia. I think it's more to that. To me, I thought maybe a deal is done where they say, all right, well, listen, we'll turn our back on Syria. Assad's gone. And you turn your back and we're going to take Kiev. Right? Because I can't see this war ending where Russia would ever be satisfied unless that regime was completely removed. Because no matter what, you can go back to since the end of World War II, the West has always tried this. With an Orange Revolution we stood behind. We've always tried to use Ukraine as a proxy. And that regime, especially when you talk about the Western Ukraine, is very much in line with Europe. And they'll always want to kill Russians. So I can't see that ending unless Russia takes the whole country. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll just say that they did have a neutral president, Yanukovych,
and they got rid of him.
Several years. He was removed in a U.S.-backed coup d'etat in 2014, thus setting the stage for the acceleration of hostilities and the big bad Russian invasion of 2022. So it is possible, and I mean, historically looking at Ukraine, that's kind of the role that is played over hundreds and hundreds of years, is kind of we're not going to go fully to the west, we're not going to go fully to the east, we're kind of going to play both sides against each other and try to get the best deal possible. Something like kind of a modern day Turkey in many ways. But yeah, I mean, it's a good point. You know, have people on both sides potentially been so polarized by what's happened over the past couple of years that, you know, they basically can't even stand to live together. You know, that's a good possibility. I don't really think that long term Putin or many Russians in general want to be occupying Western Ukraine. I don't think they want to for economic reasons because it would cost a ton of money. For military and national security reasons because it would basically be kind of an open store that they would constantly have to be spying on and you know, responding to various little guerrilla strikes and that kind of, you know, so-called resistance movements. You know, so I think from the Russian perspective, you know, I think they are open to some kind of a deal if they think it's actually going to be honored. And that's, you know, the major sticking point is how do they make the West prove that they're actually serious about sticking to their word this time, you know, since they didn't the past two deals that were made.
2 deals. Oh, geez. They said that NATO wouldn't infringe. Minsk 1, Minsk 2. I mean, it's
right.
Yeah, the hits keep going on.
Right.
They did it again. We did it again every damn time.
It's like Lucy pulling the football, and they keep going for it over there.
And you know, at a certain moment, Linus probably gets tired of kicking the air. And I mean, to their credit, the Russians are playing along with these negotiations, and they seem, by all measures, to be engaging in good faith, not to be, you know, saying one thing and then doing another, but actually saying, well, you know, here's our conditions. We need to have this dealt with, and we can't entertain this at this stage until you guys are willing to meet us on these points. I mean, you know, that's not what you'd want if you were an American diplomat, but it is certainly a respectable stand, and it hasn't changed throughout the whole course of the war. You know, their main asks have remained entirely consistent, which is, you know, they want the denazification of Ukraine, which is, you know, code word for no more Banderites in office, no more Banderites running the military, no more deranged people whose entire existence is based around killing Russians running your country. And that's, you know, shorthand for regime change, I would say. And
What I'm talking about. Yeah.
And then they want, you know, these territories, the so-called Novorossiya, you know, new Russian territories, that they say, you know, is not really negotiable, and Crimea. So, you know, the main kind of asks that they started out with that could have basically been signed even before the war or at Istanbul in April 2022, before hundreds of thousands of people died in this war. Those are going to be kind of I think the main outlines. And, you know, I'm not sure that there's that much more willingness from a Russian side to be the overseer of central or western Ukraine, because it's, you know, it's going to kind of be like, well, look at these crazy people. They don't want to be a part of us. And it's, you know, I could see up to kind of Kiev, but I think if you go further west than that, you would be signing up for a big old can of worms to be opened at some TBD date down the road that, you know, not be good for the Russians.
Well, I think they go to Kiev and they say, Poland, you got to take the rest of Western Ukraine over there. They can't have their own country, and they make sure they adopt into Poland and put it on Poland's shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, that's a theory I actually first heard floated by Gonzalo Lira. I remember a couple of years ago, and it's interesting, although the
unrealistic
idea that Poland is going to basically be allowed by NATO to go along with it, I think is questionable. I'm not sure whether, you know, they would want to sign off on doing the same thing that Russia does, quote unquote, of, oh, we're just doing a straight up land grab, it kind of undermines their whole argument that they've been making, that this is the biggest problem for Europe since World War II, that somebody's rewriting the rules of the international order if they themselves are rewriting the rules of the international order. But obviously hypocrisy has never stopped NATO, so.
Hey, Matt, we got to get Wyatt out of here because it's 5:02 over here. And but I think that we should at least show what I got shared over there, because when Wyatt wins the internet for the day, you got to show it. Breaking from WYATT REED. Crowds are rejoicing in St. Peter's Square after Venezuelans Juan Guaido declared himself interim pope. Way to go, WYATT REED.
It's still funny.
Yeah.
And fuck you if you disagree. Sorry.
Well, the other one I have is this. Check this one out really quickly. Let me see if I can. No, that's not the one I want. Hold on. See this one right here. I don't know if you'll appreciate this as much as some people out there. Let me see. Share screen. Here it is. This one. Go ahead, Matt. Chicago produced a pope before a quarterback who throws 4,000 yards. I don't know who won the internet of the day, Wyatt or Annie Agar. Thank you so much today for coming here, Wyatt. Matt, you got any last things for the man before we get him out of here? He's got surfing lessons. Let's go.
No, listen, these are the conversations we have to have. You mentioned Gonzalo Lira. I want to say we had a shout out RIP to Gonzalo Lira. This is that same hit list that we talked earlier on, Wyatt. We're all connected to this. The more bold and brave journalism we do, the more we're going to get on lists, and the more we're going to end up, fighting and swinging and going down with a fight like Gonzalo Lira did. But I appreciate you're on the right side of history every time you stick it to the war machine. So thank you for all the work you do, and I own the Grayzone for sure. Thanks for taking the time with us. Wyatt.
Thanks so much, Matt. Thanks so much, Boston.
Good to hear from you, brother. I'll see you soon, man. I'll see you soon. Remember, biker boys, we never die. We never die. My biker boy over there. Love you, Wyatt.
All right, guys.
All right, take care.
For those who don't know, me, Wyatt, and Max Blumenthal's childhood friend, John Allen, who lives out in San Juan del Sur, we rented bikes, and we spent the whole week just going out everywhere to different beaches in Nicaragua, having some amazing ceviche and fish, and just living it up, man. That's where I want to live one day, Nicaragua. It's my favorite country I've been to so far. One of the poorest ones, but just people who know how to love, live, and just an amazing place. So that's why I call ourselves biker boys. There's a picture somewhere of us, but by the big Jesus, every country, Latin American country has that big Jesus statue. We were up by one of those, and we had our bikes, and we were that's it. Biker boys, man. We did it hard.
I agree. I was in Nicaragua back in the day. I think back in who was it? 2009. Yeah, I was there in 2009, and it felt like one of the poorest countries, but it felt safe. It felt like people were good people. It wasn't versus like Venezuela, where you felt like, oh shit, I can't walk in the street at past a certain time. But that was I did get that sense. I still remember my experience there too. So yeah.
Can we take a 3-minute break real quick and then come back and stuff like that, so we can maybe breathe a little bit and then come back to the show?
Let's do that. I'm gonna put a card up, guys. Watching at home, if you're just joining us, Homeless Left, we got more show for you guys. You can always go back and check out if you missed anything. We keep the lives up on Rumble, so you guys can go back and watch any episode in its entirety with all the ups and downs the whole way, or we put the segments up too, so you guys have access to all of that. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, give us about 3 minutes. We'll be right back, guys. All right, we are back. I'm trying to get better at playing the music out. Here we go. There we go. There we go. All right, welcome back to the show, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you're joining us late, it's all good. We keep the lives up so you can go back and check them out for yourself. We had a great conversation with WYATT REED just earlier. I've been talking about the war machine, talking about the Israel-U.S. War, Western imperialism, war propaganda. Every day now, it's every day. We only do the show twice a week, guys. We only do Tuesdays, Thursdays. I wish we could go every day. We might get to that point at some point to go every day for you guys, 5 days a week, perhaps. We're getting there. We're getting there. But again, thanks you guys for being part of our show today. We'll have our co-host Craig Pasta Jardula back with us soon. We're going to get to this next story. And let's see here. Should I start it? Yeah, I think we're going to start the next story. And then Craig will join us when he joins us. Okay. Let's go ahead. Actually, you know what? We'll throw a few of your guys' comments up before we do talking back. I want to get you guys some comments. Let's wait. Let's make sure let's make sure Craig can come back with us. Okay, for this next one, because I want him to see this. All right, here. Hold on, guys. You know what? Let's just do the story. Let's just go. Okay. It looks like Pam Bondi might be in some hot water right now. She has kind of had a spotlight on her since the first 100 days of Trump's term. There's been a lot of promises unfulfilled. So we're going to get into her particular problem with the Epstein list. Pam Bondi's Epstein list problem. Let's bring Craig Pasta Jardula back in with us, and we're going to dive into this one. Here we go. There he is. Craig, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, sure. No, thanks. Pleasure's all mine. I like our little team up thing. We should do another team up soon with the pasta to go. What's it called? Homeless to go. We should do that one of these times soon. Those are some fun shows. Craig, have you been following this? Pam Bondi's got a problem with this Epstein list. She keeps making these announcements and they don't seem to be following through. We're going to tell you guys, like, this idea that the FBI has all these files, they're going through all these tapes. Let's hear the latest thing she said regarding the Epstein files. And she is getting some pushback. Just be warned, she is getting pushback. Here she is speaking about the update on the Epstein list.
No, the FBI, the FBI, they're reviewing, there are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims. And no one victim will ever get released. It's just the volume, and that's what they're going through right now. The FBI is diligently going through that. I haven't seen that statement, but I'll call him later and find out.
So as far as I'm concerned, we're kind of in damage control mode here. There is an update though on I guess she appeared with Kash Patel, made it this team up thing. FBI, we all teamed up together, and we brought you this breaking. FBI Director Kash Patel and AG Pam Bondi announced the arrest of 200 plus child predators this week. So haven't had a chance to look in to see the accuracy of the 200 plus, but I can assure you none of these arrests are anybody in a high position of power.
Yeah, look who's tweeting it out, by the way.
Yeah.
MAGA media cheerleader Benny Johnson.
There you go. So we have to keep throwing us breadcrumbs, as Craig Pasta says, throwing us breadcrumbs and make us think something is happening. I think Glenn Greenwald kind of nails it here. I mean, he kind of says it. Yeah, sure. Okay. Pam Bondi says the FBI has a lot of sex videos Epstein with children or child porn. I don't think people care much about those. He's alluding to, like, of course we care about that, but as far as why are you in the position you're in, it's to do a lot more than go through child porn videos. We should, however, find out and quickly if Epstein worked for or any specific intelligent agencies. As you and I both know, Craig, that's not happening. So let's before you chime in here, I'm gonna show you something that we were looking at closely in relationship to this, to Pam Bondi and her inability to give us anything of substance other than the FBI is looking at child porn and people without power are getting arrested right now. There was an announcement from James O'Keefe, and we're going to have his ex-partner, his ex-colleague, I should say, Justin Leslie. He's going to come on with us in the next week or two and discuss his vantage point about James O'Keefe. But we know that, James O'Keefe is another one of those guys that will give us something when the time is right. Well, James O'Keefe has been, for the last week, telling us that there's this big reveal coming, and it was supposed to be yesterday. This big reveal that's going to call out Trump's cabinet, particularly Pam Bondi. And then what happened is Alex Jones ran with it and said, this is going to be huge. And his sources are telling him directly that James O'Keefe is going to expose that Pam Bondi is not who she seems, who we already know, but it's going to be official according to Alex Jones and James O'Keefe. Unfortunately, Wednesday came and went. We did get a video from O'Keefe. We'll show some of that in a second, but just to be clear, Alex Jones, who talked about this the day before, his entire post about it is now gone. According to Clandestine, nah, man, I'm not being quiet on this one. I just had to sit and watch Alex Jones and the rest of the clickbait brigade peddle complete speculative nonsense all day long, claiming O'Keefe had proof Bondi was covering up Epstein. And then, lo and behold, after O'Keefe released what he was going to release, we'll show you that in a second, Alex Jones deletes this post where he's telling us that Pam Bondi will be incriminated as somebody who is covering for the Epstein list, particularly for, as Glenn Greenwald mentioned, Epstein's attached to intelligent agencies, the thing we can't say, but it starts with the letter I. So what did O'Keefe put out there? It was this little thing. I'll just play a little clip of it. It kind of goes on. It kind of drones on and on. But this guy, John Bryan, close with the PR team of the royal family. He's basically telling us, oh, it turns out Prince Andrew had sex with underage girls. That was the big release, was somebody close to him saying he knows that. Let's hear a clip of it.
It must be obvious they down on Camp Stupid. Yeah.
But this is like this hidden camera shit. It's like, oh, we got you. We got somebody gossiping about something. We can do that here, Craig. You and I can talk about what we know, and then we can release the thing that we know and tell everyone it's a big reveal. It's insane. But yeah, just to get an idea, this is the big reveal. This is what James O'Keefe put his entire career on. Said, this is the biggest moment of my career. Is this guy, John Bryan. Check out just a piece of this.
He was in the Navy. He was 250 days at sea. He never saw his kid. I was really pissed because he lied to me. Epstein. And then I did a big thing in the Daily Mail saying that I believed Andrew. And then I found out he was lying. I was so pissed. No, that he was f***ing underage girls. That's not cool.
That's the big release. That's the big news. That it's not cool that Prince Andrew lied to John Bryan and that he was really having sex with underage girls. So again, we ask the question we ask every single time, Pasta. We ask, who's getting arrested? And apparently just 200 people that don't seem to have any position of power at all, who happen to be having child porn that the FBI was going through. That's it. Is anybody in power getting arrested? No, that's not happening. And that's how we know this entire thing is theater. But I do see a lot of MAGAs pushing back on this. And Bondi, in that clip we played at the top of the segment, Bondi looks to me like she's a little nervous that she has to keep doing this. She seems a little not in a good, that's my take. She's a little unsettled about it, because how much more of this kicking the can down the road and lying and not getting to the bottom of it is she going to put us through until enough of the MAGAs stand up and say this is BS?
Well, I think what happens is that they'll keep pushing her. At the time, they'll switch it on over and they'll start the whole scam all over again, where the next person coming in that replaces Pam Bondi a couple of years down the road will start that. Yeah, I'm working with the FBI, and they can start the whole thing over and over again, where they can fence it and appear to be trying to release the things that, you got to protect the children, can't get the victims' names released. So I think they'll start the charade over and over again. People have to understand, it's like the WWE, where Donald Trump is in their Hall of Fame. They're never going to release any of the people of power who committed these crimes. They'll just give us the runaround all the time. Donald Trump is running these circles his whole life. He's not going to expose them. He's working for them. And you just got to suck it. There's no list of going on. There's just actual proof of people who are doing sort of things. But that information has probably been stripped from the FBI, been removed. And you're never going to get anything, guys. You're never going to get a goddamn thing. This is all just to make you believe Donald Trump is an outsider and he's fighting for the people and the benefit of the people and trying to save the children. He's not. This is just as weak as RFK's announcement that they'd stop HHS, right, from their trafficking scandal, but never mentioned a name or released anything. It's just a big circle jerk. And unfortunately, once again, just like the Ukraine-Russia situation, the voter, the person in the United States, is too naive to understand what's exactly going on.
No, I'm glad you brought up RFK Jr. because the fact that that's the giveaway. When he says, look, it's one thing he says, look, we found the problem. Okay, great. What's the problem? Oh, the previous administration, the
Biden administration.
Okay, so tell us the problem specifically. Oh, he did. He told us the problem was the HHS was in cahoots and being part of child sex trafficking and slavery, and that there's missing kids. There's 300,000 missing kids. Okay, so that's a massive problem you found out. Then he goes on and says, and this is the giveaway. The real giveaway is we solved it. We took care of it. Not a problem.
What'd you do? Don't worry about it. We got it. Don't worry about it.
But we have to find the kids. But the thing about the illegal thing and the thing with the thing and the people that broke the law. Oh, yeah, we took care of that. We
took care of that. We got you.
We're just looking for the kids now. But all that's done. That's all in the rearview mirror.
People will repeat and say that bullshit that's an actual effective thing, that we wouldn't have got that with Biden. We do get that with this administration. The same way some people repeated the fact that Donald Trump, when he had signed his 25 or 50 executive orders on day one, when they said we have transparency in our media now and everything like that. No, we don't. It was if you read the executive order itself, it's just a bunch of hogwash. It's just a bunch of hot air. But people use that and repeat that because they're playing team sports. People like Benny Johnson, Nick Sorter, all these. And the reason why I point these people out all the time is not because I'm jealous of them in any way, shape, or form. It's that because they are the enemy. They're not the media. The media, the fourth estate, is put here to hold the power and the government accountable. They're supporting it and they're cheerleading it on. So they're not media. And they're getting help from Elon Musk, which is another controlled management, narrative management network there too as well. So,
yeah. Well, look, some of these people, like, and you're right to call them out, Craig. Absolutely. But some of these people are people who are legitimately fooled and are standing up. Like, I do think this one, because I do know that the clandestine guy, that guy that's calling out Alex Jones for taking down that tweet, he's saying, look, I've had enough of this shit. I've been
yeah, but he's also been very supportive too of he's been a Trump fan too as well, you know.
He's been supportive, but he at least has, unlike Ben Johnson, he has the sense to say, wait a minute, this is total BS. You told us that there was going to be an outing of Pam Bondi. You were gonna that was going to be exposed, and then you did a bait and switch on us. And then Alex Jones, you took down what happened to that? You told us that it was coming, and now it's gone, and then you deleted the tweet about it. So I like that at least there's like, hey, wait a minute, what the hell's going on here?
Well, it shouldn't have took that long for him to switch the lights on. I mean, War Clandestine.
Okay, all right.
Once again, the War Clandestine though was great when it came to biolabs in Ukraine. When Biden was in office, and they seemed to be a little bit more that Twitter site seemed to be a little bit more cutthroat and more aggressive when it was a Democrat in office. They, I think that War Clandestine Twitter at one point played a little bit too much of the team sports. I'm glad now they're coming to the table saying enough is enough. Marjorie Taylor Greene, right now, but we've been saying this for how long?
Hey, maybe we're just really, really smart, Craig. We're just smarter than they are.
Or maybe we just can't be bought, and we're being honest in media where we hold anybody accountable. I mean, we're the homeless left. The first persons we held accountable were our side and the left, the synthetic left, as they play their games and were, pro-imperialist and, anti-speech. We called them out immediately. You gotta call balls and strikes. A lot of these people, unfortunately, play too much of the team sports. I'm glad to see War Clandestine coming around. But like I said, I think War Clandestine Twitter hurt themselves by playing a little bit too much team sports.
Too much team sports.
The libertarians that we know, the ones I criticized, the Dave Smiths, the Clint Russells, the Angela McArdle, who was the old chair and stuff like that, for them to play that game, that pro-Trump game at one point, it's just like, come on, you know better. You know better. And unfortunately, too many people got caught into this whole Donald Trump is an outsider, and I'd rather have him as the lesser of two evils. No, you're actually helping capitulate to the status quo by doing so. Donald Trump is the same thing. Donald Trump parallels Bernie Sanders, and his objective is to keep the two-party illusion going. It's the same party. Keep people in the two-party system, right? But it's really one party, one bird, two wings. So, I mean, you can say that it's has more negative consequences by them playing that kind of mentality that they do play rather than just call it out for what it is. I don't know.
Yeah. No, and look, we are the ones that started this about calling out our own. So it's good to at least see a couple people calling out their own now. So whatever. Let's keep doing the thing we know is the right thing to do, which is call this out immediately, not later, now. And with Pam Bondi, like, I don't think this is sustainable for her. I really don't. I think there are going to be enough clandestines. There's going to be enough people going, what are you doing? Let me just do this again here, because I'm going to throw this to when she starts talking. Watch her body language. Listen to what she's saying. This is like, it's clear that she's not comfortable here and that she's doing the stalling thing. And I do think there will be a breaking point for her.
No, the FBI, they're reviewing, there are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn. And there are hundreds of victims.
Now you think of that picture in your mind. There's FBI people reviewing hundreds, hours and hours and hours of child porn right now. Like that. I mean, how long do they need? What are they doing? And how many of those FBI agents are involved with this stuff too? She's stuttering through this. I don't think she in the position she's in right now is not sustainable as far as where I'm seeing it from, Craig. So I'm hopeful that there will be some sort of breaking point for her. But then, like you'll probably say, it doesn't matter. They'll just switch her up with someone else that's better at not stuttering through her sentences.
It will never come to fruition. They'll never expose the people out there who did the crimes they did. They're all part of the same team. Donald Trump has run with those people for quite some time. I forgot what his name is. Was it Mickey Cohen? Who was his? Was it Mickey Cohen or Roy Cohen? Was his mentor? Right.
Yeah.
And that's these people who led into the Epsteins and the Mossad and all these factions. He's there with them. He's doing everything at Israel's behest. I mean, you're not going to get any answers out there. They're just going to give you the runaround. So unfortunately, it is what it is. So
yeah. All right. Well, let's do. I think we're going to do one more story here.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. I think we're all okay. Here we go. All right. I just wanted to get this banner in here. Okay. We have a Surgeon General warning. Pun intended. Trump has nominated Casey Means as the next Surgeon General. Since we're on the topic, Craig, of MAGAs, in this case, Mahas, calling it out, there's a massive pushback to this situation here with Casey Means. Let's look a little closer at this, and then we'll have a discussion. We'll start with Trump's tweet. This happened very recently. I think this was yesterday morning. He made a little switch. Let me grab. Oh, I got it right here. This is Trump's tweet about Casey Means. I'm pleased to announce that Dr. Casey Means will be nominated as our next Surgeon General of the U.S. Casey has an impeccable MAHA credentials and will work closely with our wonderful Secretary of Health, Human Services, RFK, to assure a successful implementation of our agenda. That agenda being ignore the vaccine, of course, ignore anything with mRNA technology, of course, in order to reverse the chronic disease epidemic, of course, and ensure great health in the future for all Americans. There's all her achievement. It's to be noted that Casey herself is not an actual doctor, but she can pretend to be one as she moves forward into this nomination. Let's see. So she has, been outspoken about health, and we do need to give her a little credit for that. I want to play just a little clip of her on Tucker a little while back, where she does say everything right when we talk about health. So this is the positioning that why she seems like a perfect choice to fit into this feel-good mentality of we're getting something done, even though we're not getting anything done. Here's a little bit of what she has to say, where she says the right things. Let's see.
Make us sick, but they don't kill us, and then we are drugged for life. You look at what's happening in children. A child born in a hospital in the United States today, within hours of coming from source into this, into this body, the first thing that happens to them is pharmaceutical intervention without really asking, there's barely informed consent about this. That child's eyes are smeared with erythromycin ointment, and they're given a hepatitis B vaccine in their first day of life. And what are these two things for? I mean, I mentioned this because it's just emblematic of how we're put on the pharma treadmill from the moment we are born in this country for reasons that are very strange. The erythromycin ointment is to prevent chlamydial infections of the eye, which we test women for chlamydia. So why would every baby in the United States need this ointment if the mom doesn't have it? And the Hep B vaccine is for hepatitis B, which is a sexually transmitted disease and IV drug user disease, of course, which babies are not going to be exposed to.
So that's an important one. We've talked about this. We've had Leslie talk about this, being an RN. This is an insane thing to be on the childhood schedule. And when you do call it out, you tell the pediatrician, you tell the doctor, no, I don't think I want my baby to have this. This is a sexual transmitted disease. They bully you. They try and shame you. They keep at it until you cave. So that's a massive problem. The parents are waking up to now. So she's hitting bullet points. But when we go back to the politics and the optics of the situation, there are a lot of Mahas that are celebrating this right now. I'm going to give you one that's not celebrating this, and then I'm going to pass it to you, Craig. But this is a very important tweet I saw from Nicole Shanahan. As we know, Nicole was the VP nomination on the ticket with RFK. This, if anything, gives away what's going on behind the curtain. This tweet certainly does. And it seems to me that Nicole doesn't really care about the consequences to this tweet. She seemed like she just needed to get this out in the world. Well, here it is. Nicole Shanahan says, yes, it's very strange. It doesn't make any sense. I was promised that if I supported RFK Jr. in his Senate confirmation, that neither of these siblings would be under HHS or in any appointment. And the siblings she's referring to are the Means brother and sister, in case he's one of those siblings. And the people much, much more qualified would be. I don't know if RFK very clearly lied to me or what is going on. It has been clear in recent conversations that he is reporting to someone regularly who's controlling his decisions, and it isn't President Trump. With regards to the siblings, there is something very artificial and aggressive about them, almost like they were bred and raised. And I want to get this last one here because this is the best part. She's saying as Manchurian assets.
Wow.
Wow. It's a lot.
You should take that down for a second again and let that just.
Wow. Yeah. Let that sink in.
Let that sink in.
Woo. Woo.
Look, I think it's also important, too, that we can understand and learn from RFK, right? And congratulations to Nicole Shannon for pointing out this way. I don't know if it's part of the whole theater and it was meant to be that way. Like, this is the way they wrote the script that, there's turmoil within the Shanahan RFK faction. But I think it's very clear in understanding that, what they say outside of them being part of the government is different than what happens when they actually get into government, where she's pointing out that, RFK is told what to do and it ain't by President Trump. The MMR vaccine that he had spoke out against, that he was then writing a paper to promote it and whatnot. And then the COVID vaccine is still part of the schedule, still part of the childhood schedule. There's been no change on that. So I think it's very different from when a woman, one of the Mean sisters, whatever, this particular one, Casey Mean, goes on Tucker and says something, will be different than when she gets in. If she's going to get in, she's going to play ball. And that means everything she said on Tucker, you can throw right out the window. It doesn't mean the difference. And we see this right in front of our face with RFK. So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I get your skepticism that maybe her tweet, Nicole's tweet, is part of the game, but I don't know. I think that could have been a hasty, emotionally, like, kind of impulsive tweet, because you got these key words in there. Like, I don't know if RFK lied to me. He's getting orders from someone. It's not Trump. I mean, to me, she might be unknowingly here implicating who we always knew. There was this Rabbi Shmuley element to everything RFK does that goes well beyond what Trump wants or doesn't want. There's this idea that there's this control in place, and she doesn't say the I word at all, but that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing
But here's the thing, Matt. Like I said, I'm not saying it is, but I'm skeptical and think it could be, because this is the way they get you. You get these little emotional victories, which then you start to put these people on a platform of sorts. Now people are saying, wow, look at Nicole Shanahan. She's already gained a lot of momentum. A lot of the libertarians were praising her. She was at the Libertarian Convention. They like what she had to say. Now she does this, and a lot of people are like, wow, I trust this woman. I like this woman. I'm going to back this woman, because Americans, they love their heroes. They really do. They need a hero. They can't look at themselves as their hero. They, RFK coming out to Donald Trump right after he announces the support of, there goes my hero, and the crowd's going nuts. But let's not forget, Shanahan has some kind of wonky and a little bit clouded history. I believe she was one of the people funded behind Event 207, or she had some money behind one of those.
201, yeah.
Event 201, excuse me. So, I mean, she's got some murky past, so you always got to keep an eye on them, because here they go. You're with them because, hey, we agree with you, right? We love you for sticking out and being our voice, but then they take you somewhere else. It's like Ian Davis says, you always got to be aware of where they're taking you, not just what they've said in the past. Where are they leading you? Look at that. Because if they're leading you down the wrong path, they've exposed themselves. They're compromising. You got to 86 them. You got to 86 them quick, just like RFK. A lot of us didn't listen because we looked at there was actually principle and points of view to stand behind him. No, there wasn't. I get a pass once again because I'm the one who went up there and asked him his stance on Israel-Palestine. You other suckers, libertarians, you don't get a pass.
No pass. I also would want to give a shout out to Derek Bros, who confronted RFK about Israel as well. So there's a handful of you guys on the right side of things and consistent. Not so much anyone else. Let's look at some of the response. Look. I know if there's viewers watching right now that say, okay, so what literally is the problem? Because again, I played that clip on Tucker because she's saying the right stuff. We need to have these conversations about what's on this vaccine schedule. But what is the problem behind this sibling pair that Nicole mentions in there? Well, let's see couple of the pushbacks here. I found earlier. Carol Mack says Casey Means and her mediocre. What is it's mediocre rise onto the best podcast, a best-selling book on the top of the tip of everyone's lips out of nowhere. That was the plan all along. Her daddy was working for a Rockefeller in just icing on the cake. Can't believe how many people are lapping this up. And then friend of the show, Mary Talley Bonin, she has said that all the people celebrating Casey Means, give it a month, see if she continues to sit in silence while millions of children continue to get the shots. I hope I'm wrong, but she has yet to speak out. And then this is from Health Ranger. The entire emergence of Casey Means was engineered by a public relations group. She's not a health freedom advocate. She's not a vaccine truther. She'll never recommend natural cancer cures or remedies. She's basically cosplaying as a Maha champion. In reality, she's an establishment pick, and she'll push the establishment narrative 100% guaranteed. Count on it. Craig, this seems to be exactly your take on this. Everything kind of checks out that they're just following the script.
One of the things that you have to be skeptical about, and I might get some pushback here, I don't think from everybody, I know Applejack will agree with me, is that if you go on Tucker, you got to watch out. Tucker had Mike Benz on before anybody knew him, and it turns out Mike Benz is just the insider all the way and pushing for a Trump presidency and a lot of hot air, but he started his big thing when he was on Tucker. Everybody was sharing the Tucker interview. And so this here again, you know what I'm saying? It's just, it's skeptical. You know what I'm saying? It seems like the PR campaign has a connection to Tucker and can get that person on, and that would elevate that person. So I'm very skeptical. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people like Tucker and they think he's evolved to where he is nowadays. I'm still always cautious if he has anybody on the show because, you know, it could be a trap. It could be that whole, I mean, that's the way you want to put it right there. That's the outsider, right? Oh, it's Tucker right now. He's pushing back against the deep state. He's even coming to fruition now, pushing back against Israel. But I'm always cautious when they start over there at Tucker.
Yeah, and it's good to stay skeptical on this. And Craig, you're like in the front of it every time. You're the first one to say, I call BS. But we don't just call BS and look away. We got to keep looking. Let's look closer. And I like the sentiment of let's hope we're wrong, but probably right.
Probably right, but hoping we're wrong.
Yeah. So
don't want to be right on these things.
No, we don't. Okay, so I think that covers it for that segment. I was going to plan a Kanye one, but I think it kind of speaks for itself. We saw that opening. I have it on the closing, what happens after that, but I think that there's so much I don't know. Do you want to speak about that, or we can just let it
Kanye to me is it's just terrible, man. I like what he had to say a lot of times, but that attitude and what he's saying, I mean, that guy is just a complete narcissist, and sometimes I think he's doing more negative than positive, right? You know what I'm saying? Like that, is that the reason why you storm off? It's like you were going to storm off. That was your plan to do it. You know what I'm saying? You did that. Was that Sneeko that was next to him?
That was Sneeko.
It was Sneeko. You know what I'm saying? Sneeko's done some great work too, as well as late, but once again, you know, way behind the eight ball and still kind of, you know, I do appreciate him going back with Rabbi Shmuley, but once again, I don't know if that was a whole attempt to, because those guys, Sneeko and, you know, all those other guys that hang with him, Myron Gaines, they still justify voting for Donald Trump, even though they say they're anti-Zionist. They're going to vote for the most Zionist president out there. That's why they exist. They keep people in the two-party illusion, right? They keep people. They make you. Their theory is that Donald Trump is the lesser of two evils. Not that he's just. They don't even argue that he's the lesser of two evils. They say he's got some great points and they just got some bad points. One bad point being he supports Israel, but they'll still tell you to support him at the end of the day, and that's why they're so effective and they're being pushed right now by, you know, the ruling class and those who control the keys to the kingdom when it comes to media. But I mean, that's just weak what Kanye West did there. And once again, he was planning to do that the whole time rather than sit there and push back against Piers Morgan. If you have the opportunity to push back against Piers Morgan, you use that opportunity.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean,
maybe he's just weak that he doesn't have the proper skills to do so. So he was just finding an exit way out, and it makes himself look cool. He did the same thing to, you know, Tim Cast, you know, but who knows?
Well, you know, it's not worth doing more than a mention about at this point. But yeah, you're right. I mean, if you're on Piers Morgan, you should take your time. You should prepare. You should look for the moment to really hit him with something. But getting up and leaving, maybe it's about the theater. To me, it seems like he's the one thing he's accomplishing. He's not accomplishing much, but the one thing he's accomplishing is he's showing that this is just one big joke of a theater piece, and that he can just walk out because he doesn't really respect anything on that stage. He doesn't respect it because he knows it's all fake, and he's just being fake right back. And there's not, so maybe it's performance art in a sense. I don't know. That's my best optimist take. But again, he's doing more damage than not. I agree with you on that. But it is kind of a joke. Piers Morgan's show is a joke. He pretends to have, I'm having both sides of discussion, but he never processes any information. He always goes back to the same talking points. You're like, dude, didn't you have like, what the hell, dude? You've had discussions, thoughtful discussions, and then you just intentionally lose all the information and you go right back to establishment talking points.
He'll always go, you condemn Hamas.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't even be part of the argument. What does that mean? Do I condemn Hamas? You have to condemn Hamas, and then I condemn Hamas. You know, what they're doing is awful, but I condemn Hamas, saying that no matter what, it's justified.
Yeah.
You know, Piers Morgan's always been that type of person. He always will be that type of person. And you're right, Applejack. Sneeko is an opportunist.
Oh yeah, of course. Anybody in the entourage of a guy like that. If you made it to the top of the entourage, you're certainly an opportunist to even get there. Okay.
He seems like a really cool cat, though. You mean what I'm saying? You know?
Yeah. I mean, I've met a lot of cool cats doing, you know, when I was bodyguarding and bouncing in LA for the, you know, top, you know, high rollers. And it's like, you met some cool guys, but you knew that people were just positioning themselves so they could be in the room, and, you know, A-list, this person does this to A-list, that person, you're in the dressing room with it's insane. It's the stuff I saw, but people, they mean well, but they're careerists, they're opportunists, just like in Washington. It's the same in Hollywood. It's the same in the music industry. You're looking out for yourself, and if you make it to the top, good for you. Bravo. Job well done. You want to do some quick little talking back with me?
Sure. I got about 8 minutes.
Perfect. Well,
it was a long show today, but a good one, a fun one, very informative.
Fun one. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna play in the intro just for fun because we didn't have Leslie with us today. She was on assignment. I love that.
Love that. Huh?
She was on assignment. Hopefully we'll have her back next week. But for now, let's play her fun little intro. Talking back with Leslie. But it's actually talking back with Pasta and Matt. Here we go.
Let's play it though.
It's talking back. Not with Leslie, but with Pasta and Matt. Oh, look at that. It's the cartoon come to life. Very nice. That's exactly it. You know what? I got to make one for you now, Pasta. You nailed it. Okay. Well, look, man, we had a good show today. You know, we had a great discussion with WYATT REED, Grayzone, and covered a lot of stuff on Top Censor News. These few other stories with Pam Bondi, covered the Surgeon General story with the Casey Means nomination. Let's see. Let's get a little engagement with the
audience.
See what we have here. We can go through a few of these. We only got a few minutes with you guys, but we'll try and get to the good ones here. Apologies if we don't make it to your comment. We'll try to play them on the outro, on the credits. We'll try and get them all in there the best we can. So apologies in advance. This is from the top, but I gotta remind everyone. Yeah, Applejack says Pasta Jardula is awesome. Yes, he is.
Oh,
yes,
Apple.
He is. Yes, he is. And I look forward to seeing you're going to be doing some work with this guy. Yeah, with Applejack.
Apple's a citizen journalist, man. He's been doing some good work, and you know, I plan to have him on the radio show and talk about what's going on. And if you haven't followed, put a link to where they can follow your stuff in the chat, Applejack. He's a great citizen journalist. I've known him for years. Not to mention, the guy does amazing mutual aid work. You know what I'm saying? You know, he doesn't need, him and his crew, they don't need to go to any affiliated big time people. They do the work themselves, and they do the work on the ground. So definitely go follow his stuff and go see what he's all about. Applejack.
Hell yeah. Will do. Yeah, I hope he puts that link in there. And then this is, you know what? He gave us this is a good question. I don't know if we spent enough time with this one, but have you guys read the stupidity from the Harvard anti-Semitism report? I saw pieces of that. Yes, we should follow up on that. It's
Dissidents was doing it on their show today, and they were showing the lady speak about it. You know what I'm saying? It was obvious that they went hunting to try and find anti-Semitism, but it really fell short on its face. You know what I'm saying? And but once again, it will play for a lot of team sports people who are looking for confirmation bias. So
confirmation bias, exactly.
Confirmation bias to go along with it. So
you're not winning over anyone in the street for Palestine. That's for damn sure. No. That ain't happening with that report. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. The new Pope. We had the breaking news at the top. Airways, thanks for joining in again with us. New Pope.
Wilfred.
Tra la 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 la. Oh yeah. Okay, very cool, very cool. Thank you for that.
This pizza will now be the national food of the Vatican.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, yeah.
This pizza.
And let's see. I'm assuming this from Mayors. They've lost all legitimacy for a while now. I believe we're talking about the Vatican, or yeah, I think that was on point when we were. But we already knew they lost legitimacy on the previous. We discussed. We had a nice discussion there about Pope Francis, and you made some great points on that, Pasta. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Mayors. Miss you, love you, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. The people, and she says the people got nothing except another narrative manager.
She knows.
She knows.
She started on the left, and now she's part of the truth community. Mayors, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Airways chimes in. Can we throw out the Zionists with the bathwater, please? Yes, in an alternate timeline, we could. I don't know how we do that in this timeline, though, Airways, but it's a nice sentiment. We appreciate that. Thank you. And then the betting. Oh, I got to throw this. I did a bet to you. What is your bet on whether the new Pope is going to say anything at all on Gaza? Or even for Ukraine proxy war, for that matter, anything. Is he going to say anything? That's all. But
he will, but it'll take his time. I mean, he's got some time to spare right now. He didn't have to say anything right away, right? He kind of we'll talk in general, make vague statements, but never really condemn anything. Probably say we still need that investigation to see if it's a genocide. It has the characteristics of a genocide. I mean, I just hate that kind of talk.
Yeah.
Call it a genocide, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Applejack, we talked about the Victory Day and Trump's lame take on it. And he says Victory Day, Trump is too busy getting shut down by judges he appointed. Yeah, well, and that was a pretty lame speech he did as far as America. He said nobody would argue that America is the number one, people to be celebrated for ending World War II. The greatest. We're the greatest. Of course.
It just shows you where they're at. The people who embody this guy, there's no humility whatsoever, right? There's no tact, then there's no humbleness. It doesn't embolden the characteristics of the person I want to be, the United States to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, if this guy had anything, he could have made a statement and said, hey, listen, no one should ever ignore what the United States did to help be a part of ending World War II from the fascism that was spreading in Europe. However, I would like to send my love and my respect to those in Russia who suffered millions of lives during World War II on this their Victory Day. Congratulations. I look forward to seeing you and meeting you. And I'll be in Air Force One soon, and I'll see you on the ground. Like that kind of statement would be nice. You can even you can make a statement saying nobody should ever deny what the United States did to help end the war. I mean, here's the thing: it was the United States corporations that funded both sides of that war and let them kill each other, the Nazis and the communists. And then they swooped in at the last second. And like I said, it was more about a land grab and making sure that the Soviet Union didn't go all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. More than actually coming in there and ending the war. The way they kind of taught, we've been taught, like we came in there and end the war because they needed our help, and we came in there and sealed the deal,
Yeah, the spin is insane. And then we got to the number 2 story. Manimus, thanks for tuning in. This is bullshit. No way the rich would spend 21 trillion. LOL. I don't know if Manimus is being sarcastic.
Being sarcastic.
Yeah, that's what I would assume. Yeah, of course. Of course. Why would you? Yeah, that is. Why would they? Man, those underground cities, those look pretty cool, though. I was like, you know what? If the world goes into nuclear complete annihilation, that's where
you're not allowed down there. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
It's a big club. Damn it.
What if
could I charge a ticket on my credit card? I'll do monthly payments.
Absolutely not, brother.
Damn it.
Absolutely not.
Sorry. I have some credit available. I could do this. I could do it on 3 different cards. Whatever
well, if you sell the wine glass as being Israeli, maybe they might consider letting you go in.
Now we're on to something.
There you go.
Now we're on to something. I like it. I might spin that. I might cut in line there from you, Pasta. Sorry, man. Yeah. All right. So number 1, we were covering the India story. Wish you go. Thanks for
this was great. I'm glad you highlighted this because I was looking at that when it's happening. A lot of people say that, but once again, the reason why I showed you the whole situation with Modi, and Biden cutting across the stage, walking through all the other leaders to make sure he went and said, hey, hello to Narendra Modi. He was told to do that. Modi, like I said, listen, whether you agree with Narendra Modi or not, whether you agree with Erdogan or not, these are people who are crafty leaders for their country, and they always get something for their vote. They always know how to play both sides. I mean, technically, Turkey's a NATO ally, but still, kind of like not, cool with Israel, not cool with the West. And, Donald Trump said, I would look to Turkey for the problems in Syria. Look at Turkey, right? But I don't think he's trying to sabotage BRIC. I think if there's any leader who's crafty enough to deal with this, it is Narendra Modi.
Yeah. Well, it's
he's like, listen, I didn't attack any of my BRICS neighbors and stuff and whatnot. I had nothing to do with them. But this is an old school battle between India and Pakistan. I don't think that the BRICS nations will hold them accountable for that. Sorry.
Yeah, man. I just it's too bad that we have to be the ones digging into this and no one else. I feel kind of alone in this fear trying to figure this one out. But I'm glad we put it at number 1 because again, Top Censored News is not just about let's do the biggest story of the day. It's about what are they just saying? The American people don't want to hear this. We're going to ignore this story. I don't know, man. I want to learn more about this, but I do like this idea that the sabotaging of BRICS might be part of this. The Israel part we mentioned earlier, whether that's are they emboldened by Israel? But that history, I need to learn a little bit more about it, to be honest. But which you probably could tell, I'm not in India, Pakistan.
It was a great show today, man. Thank you so much. It's always great to do these Thursday shows with you.
Cool, man.
And I want to remind everybody, I think we're supposed to have a convo couch tomorrow, but Fee might be tied up in Moscow, so I don't know if we're going to have a show. We'll see. We'll figure it out. But, I always have my Wednesday show, too, on air on WBAI, New York, 4 p.m. Eastern. And Monday, for sure, the Convo Couch will be back. Mark Sloboda will be there. Truthwire, excuse me, not the Convo Couch. Mark Sloboda will be there to talk about what's going on in Russia, Ukraine, and what to look forward in the future and what some of these deals mean, the mineral deals and the weapons deals that Trump is allowing them to buy and and that stuff. So we'll get into that, and we'll see what's going on. But thank you so much for having me on, Matt. It's always great to do this Thursday show with you.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for the great conversations today. Always appreciate it. Looking forward to our next time. So
all right, brother. Love you.
Okay. Love you too, man. Craig Bassa, Jardula, helping us out with a little talking back there at the end. And of course, great conversations today. WYATT REED, Grayzone, and all the other stories we try to stay up on, including the breaking news of the Pope and all the other stuff going on in MAGA, Maha world, and the fake pushback by Bernie and AOC. We keep up on all this for you guys, and sometimes we have to tune into the mainstream media reports so we can watch that so you guys don't have to. But yeah, it's all about honest conversations, and even every once in a while we'll have a little slight disagreements, but that's good. That's healthy, and I'm glad we do that. So thanks for Pasta for all his work. The rest of your guys' comments, you know what? Let me do a few more for you guys because I know Pasta had to take off. And I will finish up a few for you guys before we end the show, because we're gonna probably sign off here in a few. Let's see. We have. Okay. Yeah, when we talking with Wyatt, this came up about Trump Airwaves. Thanks for the comment. Trump can't play chess. So this idea that we were saying, is he doing this art of the deal, this negotiation with Russia and Ukraine? It's looking like, and I tend to side with Airwaves here. Maybe no, he's not really playing chess. He's presenting as though it's art of the deal, but it is looking like checkers with the mineral stuff, and now we're just giving more weapons to Ukraine. He's following the Biden plan. It's the same plan, so we're not getting anything different here. And speaking of the Victory Day we spoke about, guys, why wouldn't you want to go to Moscow for Victory Day? Why wouldn't you want to do that? Wouldn't that be the thing to do right now? If you're talking about the peace president, a game of chess would involve doing some sort of appearance there, not doing a little speech from the White House the day before Victory Day and pretend that make America great again, and we're the reason that World War II was won. And I just think that his positioning is not. He doesn't think it through very much. He doesn't think it through very much. So I agree with you, Airways. It does seem like it's, unfortunately, just checkers. Chatter X, thanks for tuning in. AOC Bernie claimed to be a progressive leftist and vote every single weapons package for the imperialist wars. It's pathetic. They're great at speaking. They're great at giving speeches. It feels so good when you tell us the thing we want to hear. But when it's time to vote, what do AOC and Bernie do? Chatter X tells us very clearly, look at the voting record. Every single weapons package for Israel. Every single weapons package for Ukraine. Everyone. We saw their behavior during COVID. They both gave these incredible speeches right before the CARES Act was put through. The CARES Act being the highest transfer of wealth. Some say up to $5 trillion for that one bill. The CARES Act, March of 2020, AOC Bernie said all the right things. Oh, this is horrible for the working class. This is horrible. Oh, why does it come down to this? Why do we have to do this? And then they do it. They do it. They don't sit it out. They don't say, I'm protesting this thing. I'm voting no. No, they do it. So thanks for reminding us, ChatterX, that it's not about what's being said. It's about the actions. That's what we need to look at, our elected officials and their actions. Most important thing. And yeah, back it up with this. ChatterX, there is no left in the U.S. since ACC of 57. Time to wake up and stop living in denial. Yep, appreciate that. Thank you so much. But we should go piggybacks on ChatterX. The progressive Zionist left. That's funny. The progressive Zionist left. That's like a conundrum. That's what do we call it? An oxymoron. I like that. We start calling the progressive Zionist left. That's funny. Nothing progressive about Zionism, but I guess you can call yourself that. And of course, we have to release the sausages. Hamas, release the sausages. Love that. Thanks, Wish to Go. Here we go. One more from ChatterX. The mad propaganda totally confused the people to the point where they had no longer understand the words they use, like MAGA communism. Yeah, that was a Jackson Hinkle thing. Idiocracy on steroids. Just, looking for a way to make it make sense, trying to self-brand yourself, bringing people together, MAGAs and communists. It's people are very confused right now. People are very confused about even what box to put themselves in, let alone what box people are putting them in for them. We have to deal with people putting us in boxes, right? We're put in a box when we challenge pharma or anti-science, right? Or anti-vaxxers. We were put in a box when we challenge Israel. We're anti-Semitic. We're put in a box when we ask questions about JFK assassination, 9/11, COVID. We're conspiracy theorists. We get put in boxes, but I think people are more concerned today about aside from being put in boxes by other people. What box do you put yourself in? What do you call yourself? What do you identify as? Right? What do you identify as? There's a rainbow of things you can be identified with, and you can decide for yourself. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. We started a show called The Homeless Left because we didn't want to be put in boxes. We don't listen when people put us in boxes, and we don't want to do it ourselves. We don't want to do it to ourselves. So all these words like progressive and liberal and Democrat and lefty, even lefty, us on the left, like we don't necessarily associate with those anymore. We are homeless left. We are homeless progressives. We are homeless, certainly homeless Democrats. And maybe that's how it's got to be with all of these terminologies, wherever you come from. If you were MAGA all these years and you feel like maybe you're homeless MAGA now, maybe you're homeless from everything that once defined who you were because you had to be part of a team and check in with a leader, clock in your card, check in with management. Maybe that's something that you're tired of, and maybe we're all tired of that. And so let's not put ourselves into boxes. And Jackson Hinkle, who wanted to do a MAGA communist thing, don't do that. Don't do that. Just be you. I'm not talking directly to Jackson. I'm saying anybody who thinks they have to, do some sort of fusion of two things or this or that. Just don't do it. Just take the box off and go out in the streets with us and be homeless with us. That's how we're doing it from here on out. Okay. We do have a few more on here. Airways, Trump's mineral deal is pure fantasy. The major percentage of rare earth are already in the Russian Federation. Yeah, it's just I guess we determined in the conversation that this was just branding and packaging. That's what it was. It justifies having this mineral deal justifies writing more checks to Ukraine for more weapons, and it doesn't look like that we are going in the hole anymore, that we have something of value that we got a bang for our buck. Absolutely. All sentient beings. Didn't mean to put a dancing banana. I can't play the dancing bananas, but I see it on the Rumble. If you guys go to the Rumble, you'll see the dancing bananas. That's pretty funny. We can't play it on here, unfortunately, but very cool. And the rocking cats. Yes, you did mean. This is Lori Lambie. Thank you, Lori, for tuning in. I did mean to put up the rocking cats. We can't put that up either on StreamYard, but you guys go check it out. I can look at it right now. I can see it on my other window. The rocking cats are up on our Rumble channel. Thank you, Lori Lambie, for that. Appreciate it. Good question, Wishigo. I don't know if he's available. I don't know if Guaido's available, Guaido, to replace Zelensky. But if somebody has his number, we can maybe send him a text, see if he is. And no, he hasn't pledged his allegiance to Israel yet. But who knows what's going on behind the scenes, Wishigo? Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? But I don't think we're going to see anything out in the open, any public pledge of allegiance to Israel. No, we're not going to see that out in the open. I don't think. I mean, I hope not. I don't think that's happening. It might be behind closed doors, though. Airways, why the F would Russia trust the U.S. on any secret deal? No, they have no reason to trust us. We break every single one. We break every single one. Maybe they're just going through the motions. Yeah, maybe they're just going through the motions. Okay, we do have some more here. Man, it's too bad, Craig. I like running it off of Craig here. We'll probably have Leslie back next week. We can do some back and forths. Yeah, I hate doing this by myself, but it's okay. Applejack has chimed in again. Pam Bondi, red names on the list finally, and now she is backtracking. Good call, Applejack. And we can see that in her stutter. When you watch these clips, guys, don't be fooled by the people sharing them because they're like, "Yay, win one for Maha." You'll see a lot of that. If you guys are going to look up Pam Bondi right now on Twitter, you're going to see a lot of people. Yeah, she really stuck it to him. Well, she has to backtrack, but listen to her speak. The language, she stutters. I don't know. I like to read what's not being said. Look at the shifting and the and the stopping of sentences. Yeah, it must not be fun for her. It must not be a fun job right now. To not be able to do the thing that you were appointed to do. You can't do the thing, right? The thing that people are like, yeah, she'll get it done. You're not actually doing the thing. Not actually happening. Yes, wish to go. Epstein had prior knowledge of 9/11, according to Prince Andrew's former partner, Lady Victoria Hervey. Why do you suppose James O'Keefe wouldn't tell us that part? That's interesting. Why wouldn't we be talking about that? Why wouldn't Pam Bondi be telling us about that? It's interesting that we don't get to hear verbatim who he is part of. What intelligence agency? Who is he part of? What is Epstein part of? Why won't they tell us? Glenn Greenwald nailed it. You go to Glenn Greenwald's tweet again. He said, in fact, I will put it up right now. This is Glenn Greenwald. He's told us this is BS, right? The thing that the people want, you're not doing. He spells it out for us. Here it is. I'm sure it's true, as Pam Bondi says, that the FBI has a lot of sex videos of Epstein with children and child porn, blah, blah, blah. I don't think people care much about those. We should, however, find out and quickly if Epstein worked with or for any specific intelligence agency. Sorry, Glenn, and I think he knows this. He's not like holding his breath for this, but sorry, Glenn, that ain't happening, and it's certainly not happening anytime soon. So you can forget about quickly at that. I might have to put the rest of these up on the rolling of the credits. Applejack, one more. Actually, I want to throw this up from Applejack. Alex Jones is a genius. His idea to fight Israel is unmatched. Bro said best way to beat Zionists is to ignore them. That's got to be the comment of the day. That's the comment of the day. I'm giving it to Applejack. The rest of you guys, I will throw those up the most I can, the best I can do, the most I can do during the final outro, which we're going to get to right now. That is Talking Back with Pasta and Matt, but mostly with Matt because Pasta took off. So mostly with Matt. We'll have Leslie back next time. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us today on The Homeless Left. We had what a great show. I want to thank Craig Pasta Jardula, our trusted co-host today. I think we'll have him back next Thursday as well. We'll be joined again by Jay Scott, our co-host for Tuesday's episode. So come back to us. We're here Tuesdays and Thursdays on Rumble, on our burner channel on YouTube, which is THL. You can get to it at THL Presents. Let me throw a few of those things up so you guys can see how you can find us if you haven't. If you just stumbled on us now, this is our main channel on Rumble. We're on Twitter, on X. Matt Weinglass also on Twitter and X. There you can just follow me as well if you haven't done that yet. But yeah, this is the main channel, Homeless Left on Rumble. This is our burner channel on YouTube, THL Presents. It comes up as THL. We cannot put in The Homeless Left because we got terminated. The channel no longer exists. We got punished by Google, YouTube for having conversations about Big Pharma, for having conversations about Israel, for having conversations about election integrity, for having conversations about Ukraine, but mostly Israel. Actually, mostly it was pharma. We got in trouble for COVID discussions. That was mainly, they said it was unsafe. It was dangerous to report statistics. It was dangerous to talk to doctors and scientists. I guess we're not supposed to do that during a pandemic. We're just not supposed to do that. You can show your support at locals /support. I think you can find that right from our Rumble homepage. You can totally find that right there. Hey guys, don't forget to follow Pasta too on Twitter. On YouTube, he's Pasta to Go. We team up sometimes and do a Homeless to Go show. So it's Pasta to Go and Homeless Left together makes Homeless to Go. But follow him on Twitter as well. Thanks for all your guys' support today. And I think thanks to WYATT REED for coming in from the Grayzone. You guys can go back and watch that conversation. We spoke about Israel, about Ukraine, amongst some other topics as well. I think that just about does it. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Share out this live stream. It really, really helps out with the algorithm and fighting the censorship industrial complex, which we have to do every single day. We're going to leave you guys with the aftermath of the KANYE walk-off. He stormed off of Piers Morgan. It looked like he pre-planned it. He was just waiting for the moment to storm off. And unfortunately, he left his old sidekick, there to deal with the awkward weirdness of Piers Morgan. That's Sneeko, left on his own with Piers. We'll leave you with that moment, awkward moment, and we will see you guys back here next Tuesday and next Thursday. Oh, and one more announcement. We're going to have the one and only Dr. David Martin joining us shortly. We're about to lock that date in. We'll let you guys know when Dr. David Martin himself will be on here. We're going to talk all about the COVID conspiracy theorists. We're not saying it. Other people are saying it. We just want to know more about it from the guy who got it right first, right out of the gate. Dr. David Martin will be with us. Take care, guys. Remember, always look at the world. Always go about your day from the same principles, right? We talk about courage. We talk about conviction and having principle. Always apply it the same. Be consistent all the time with how you apply it, and then you can't get anything wrong as long as you're not doing it from a tribal perspective. You can take those tribal glasses off and look at the world from your non-tribal lens, which is much better. It's a weight off your shoulders when you do that, and then it's hard to get things wrong once you have all the information. Hard to get things wrong once it's out on the table, because you just are consistent with your principle. That's it. Doesn't matter what team you're helping or not. It doesn't matter. It's the same every time. So apply all those principles, apply those same things every time. Power to the people, and we'll see you guys next week. I'm Matt Weinglass, and I'm out. Homeless Left. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
This around yesterday, and you seem to find that very entertaining and amusing in your live stream, which I'm sure you will now. You kept all my crew in Spain and here waiting, and then wasted their time. And then you got us all back now, and you've wasted our time again. And you again may find that funny and entertaining, and that's fine. I don't. I think it's a total waste of everyone's time and effort and money.
Well, I mean, it is. I was ready for the interview yesterday, too. My time is important as well. Regardless if it was wasted, we have to admit this is somewhat entertaining. You know, this is going to be laughed at by many people. It's not what I expected,
what's entertaining?
That was funny. That's undeniably walking off right into the beginning of an interview is funny.
Yeah?